Anybody got any objections, just go right at it, so we can keep moving today. So, Dave, I'll start with.
When I got here first, I don't know how yours is listed, solid waste.
Yep.
Get that first.
Yes, we do.
Okay, you got some interest income, that's a guesstimate. You got fees collected, that's a guesstimate. That's been about where it's been running. That's where your final review for the committee comes from. Programming, contractual services. If I was you, the big question I'd have is why is the contractual services over $200,000? Again, that's just plugged in there as a guesstimate. If there's any movement whatsoever on anything other than what we're doing at this current landfill, there's going to be some legal fees and consultant fees necessary, so that's plugged in for that. If you don't feel there's going to be, we can pull it out. That's no problem.
What all is that tour? That's all legal fees?
Legal and consulting.
Holy cow.
Well, if you're looking at a greenfield site,
Oh, I
It's-
agree, yeah.
expensive.
When we get 200 in, and there's gonna be 204.
Again, that can all be pulled out and put back in if needed sometime. That's the only reason it's in there. Is that, so you're prepared for that.
Yep.
But it doesn't have to be in there. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little more, but I do want to point out there's $20,000 in there on soil and water. I just plug that in there, but that's really your decision, is that your contribution to soil and water. That's been typical throughout the years, but I want to make sure that that's highlighted, that you know that that's in there. And you can discuss.
And the transfer of other funds is,
That's the highway
okay, all right.
for administration.
So far for 2020, we got, we've already spent at 6 months, 40,000 on contractual services.
Yeah, okay, so a lot of that contractual services is gonna be, I think I had $80,000. I got a sheet on it if you guys want it. I don't know how much paper you want. $86,000 plugged in for the drop-off recycling contract, okay? What I got in there for the miscellaneous consulting and legal fees to make up some of that is gonna be, this $100,000. I got other collections at 18,000, that's probably high. Our electronics really isn't running us anything, but if there was ever any other thing that we needed to do for collections, there is money plugged in there, but we're really probably not gonna use that much. But that drop-off recycling is, yeah, it's gonna run around in that $8,000 range.
Nobody buys that up, but you got paid to get rid of that stuff.
Pay to get rid of it, every pole, costs us per pole.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Are we better off financially not putting our stuff in the dumpster and sending it to the landfill? At least we get paid for tonnage down there.
We've said that before.
I know.
I mean, we've, the exact question almost every year, we say, because what it costs us to recycle. And
Yeah, the recycling industry is in trouble. Yeah, we're particularly after China closing stores, recycling, going there.
Stuff go to the landfill, though.
Does
Are you talking
anything
electronics?
actually get recycled?
Oh, yeah, it gets recycled, it's just.
well,
Electronics.
Electronics, you're not able to put in the landfill.
Yeah, that you can't. I'm just talking the drop-offs.
but electronics, we only pay for the trucking.
No,
Electronics, we only pay for the trucking. There's more cost.
no,
We don't pay
we
for
don't
anything.
pay for trucking.
Oh, we
or
don't.
recycling
We used to
on
though,
that.
didn't we?
We used to.
Okay.
When we got on the, I don't know, government program, so to speak, it's,
That's the government program.
it's a consortium of all the manufacturers. The manufacturers are the ones that are on the hook to pay for it. All right, so you get signed up on this thing, and the manufacturers are paying for the site in the county. So they're paying for the recycling and the trucking.
So our cost is the labor you get versus stretch wrap it.
Yep, we collect it, sort it, shuttle it around, put it, store it, put it in the truck.
When you say sort it, what do you gotta do with it?
We gotta keep it in different kinds of piles the way they need it at the recycling plant.
Okay. So once
That's
it's,
a lever.
I've helped planning also.
Yeah.
So once we put it on skids down there, then you guys have to resort it again. Because we've got some labor costs that are more than just
Oh, yeah,
stretch wrapping it.
definitely. Definitely, and time.
But we're not paying for trucks.
It can be a time burner for our guys, actually.
No, yeah.
And it was early on, when we first opened it up. I mean, we delayed it a couple months. And we first opened it up, it was kind of a big deal. We weren't getting anything done on the highway side. It was kind of ridiculous, but it's working itself out. It's not so bad now.
Anything else for solid waste? All right, let's go down the highway then, Peter.
Okay. Okay, so you got your property tax is gonna be, I guess, wherever you set the levy. Reimbursement from Township Bridge. Well, are they working off of those new line items that we talked about, or are they
They're,
working off?
actually, no,
Okay, that's fine, because I did not print that off and use it, so that's okay. I just wanted to make sure, otherwise I'm gonna
no,
end up,
no, I have it here, but it hasn't been shared with
Gotcha.
them yet.
okay. Okay.
But by the time we're done with this, they'll, not today.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so you got reimbursement from Township Bridge coming in with that will be engineering fees associated with the Township Bridge. As I look at this now, that will be for a bridge that we're actually building this year. So by the time numbers all get filed out, with IDOT, money gets all transferred around, that'll be coming in this next budget year. Even though we're building it this year, the money will be coming in next budget year, so that's what they're for. Don't really have any sold equipment of any great value to place in there. There may be some pieces here and there. I'm wanting to get a couple of the old trucks on Big Iron or whatever sold here on this budget year. I don't anticipate any for next. Interest, of course, that's, your guess is as good as mine. The $420,000 for labor and equipment reimbursement that comes from MFT, for MFT eligible work. All those hours and all the machine and man hours are all accounted for MFT eligible work and reimbursed back in the highway. Reimbursed wages, that'd be my salary, that either comes from MFT or federal funds. It comes as a claim from MFT, and then federal funds get half my salary, federal funds get put into the MFT account. Engineering would be basically the maintenance engineering work that we do for the townships. And we charge a 4% engineering fee by county resolution on work they do for seal coat, rock, all that kind of thing that goes on. Any stuff in there. Okay, so now we're getting down into, salary officer, overtime, left that same as last year. Again, that's a hit or miss line item, all depends on the weather. Salary others, I wanted to let you know what we did on that. What I did with that was, took this year's budgeted amount for salary others and increased it 2%, call it a day. I have no idea how that's gonna shake out. If you wanna raise it or lower, that's up to you, but that's how I plug a number in there.
What percent did you say? Didn't hear.
And I've got one employee, at this point, so I'm anticipating on getting that replaced then for next budget year. So yes, that's baked in the cake there. Okay, so temporary help, what do we use that for? A lot of times in the winter, again, historically we've been a 10-man route or a 9-man route. So what's worked out well in the past is on heavy storm systems or long duration winds and stuff like that, with snow on the ground. We'll take a recent retiree and call them back, and they're good to work for a few days at a time, and they're happy with that. So there's some expense built into there. The other is I really would like to get some summer help in to help with a number of things. One, I kind of put them in charge of that electronic stuff that we just went over and all the time and the labor that takes to take care of that. And then, in addition to that, there's all kinds of other odd jobs around that they can fill in with. I mean, we have all of our snow plows and stuff sitting outside. Those things all need to be painted, and they haven't been in years because we haven't had anybody to do that. The mechanic has got kind of a list of things that he can have the summer help him do and organize and move things around, that sort of thing. So, not really worried about the volume of work that individual would have, but that's why you got 15,000 plugged in there.
Hey Dave, can I
Yes.
ask a question?
Yes.
So with that part-time help that you would be able to get, maybe that would alleviate some of your overtime then?
No, probably not.
No?
Well, because that's gonna come in the summertime when we're typically gonna not have overtime.
Okay, so if I'm looking at overtime, the fiscal year 26 month, right? You're sitting at around 16 grand. So most of
Like-
that winter's already gone through, so
Right, Larry?
this is just in case if we have another heavy winter, that's probably the overtime you'd go through.
Yep. It's kind of like shooting in the middle of a scatter plot, you know, they're all over the place. You
Okay.
know, pick one in the middle, you pick a line in the middle of it, you know.
Okay.
So that's kind of what that is. So, the overtime that occurs in the summer, we had
Yeah,
half an
'cause then
hour
maybe-
last night to get a road, gap road open, last night. But typically, we're not working that. We're gonna get storm call outs and things like that, of course. Signs down, all that, you know, I got that coming in. And then, on the engineering side, the guys that are out with contractors and stuff, they will get overtime in the summer, but a part-time helper, to be honest with you, is not gonna offset really any overtime.
Okay.
So Dave, the 15,000 on the temporary, would that cover this part-time guy in the summer?
We cover a part-time guy and then part-time stuff in the winter.
I thought that's what you
To
said.
be the
I wanted
combo.
to clarify.
Yep, yes. No, that's not all for one individual in the summer. It would be,
No, but I want to make sure it would also cover the summer.
yeah, correct.
Assuming we don't have a
They,
winter of 79.
Yes.
be able to hire high school kids? 'Cause like
High school or
the
probably
villages-
college or whatever, yeah, you could do that. I need to make sure they run forklifts.
I know
Well, hurt
the
themselves or others,
our town hires high school help every summer,
Yeah.
works out good for them,
you know.
and they get to pay somebody.
They can run a forklift and we give them a card for that and,
And they're just on minimum wage.
yep. Furniture and, yeah, before we move on, any questions? All right. Furniture equipment, 65, that's kind of your basics there. That's gonna be a pickup and some other kind of things, or, one of the things we're kicking around is getting a 1-ton. We bought some cab and chassis here in the past, and we've scanned around with our old boxes and things like this to keep the cost down, and we're kind of to the point now where we need a fresh one. Some of the older equipment's, rusting through, getting worn out, so, a decent, 1-ton with the dump box and everything's gonna eat up a fair amount of that right there. Then you put maybe a salt spreader or something on top of that, 7-8 grand, and, you know, that goes away pretty quick. Do maintenance, that's your equipment maintenance stuff, okay? Anything to do with the repairs and the maintenance on the equipment, heat, light, water, telephone supplies, I don't have any questions on that, that's all pretty run-of-the-mill
So
stuff.
telephone, include the cell phones.
Yes, that would include the office phone and really, we only have one cell phone. It's probably not smart, but I use my own.
The 9,000 includes also the labor.
Correct. Yep, correct.
And you have your own system, you're not connected to any of ours out there.
No, we're not. And that also includes, basically the bulk of that's the internet.
Oh, and the telephone.
Oh, that's a ridiculous amount, $430 a month or something, it's crazy, that's what it is. IRMRF reimbursement, health insurance reimbursement, of course, those are estimates on that. I don't know exactly where that percentage lies in IRF, and then, the health insurance thing kind of rolls around a little bit throughout the year, just depending on who goes on or off, and all that. Travel meetings and training, safety equipment, highway maintenance, that's, I don't know, a lot of things come out of there. Fuel's a big one. Those sorts of things come out of highway maintenance. Construction, then you got your transfer in there at the bottom that correlates with the solid waste transfer out.
You said that that's safety equipment.
Yeah, anything, it could be, PPE, any of that kind of thing.
Different number,
Why?
because I was lumping a couple things together, I thought it was training. So
Oh,
your travel and meeting, your training, is no longer one account number. That's go around inside of your travel.
not for me.
Okay. But I won't put safety equipment down to the supply number.
Okay, all right, good work. So that's what it's planned for,
Right.
more supply kind of stuff.
Okay, perfect, thanks.
Or if we have a run through or something and they say, hey, you need a railing here or there, then we probably won't have that line.
Sure.
Yeah,
Nothing seriously expensive.
correct. Well,
Well, okay.
For the training, Dave, you haven't used anything up to the first 6 months, right?
no,
FY 20.
no, we got a boring training here.
Why is it a lot? From 1612 to 4,000, is that an estimate of if you have a training?
Yeah, and yeah, it's mostly an estimate if we're talking about a potential new engineering technician, and there's likely gonna be some training they need to get up to speed with some things. And, I don't know. It all depends on the qualifications they come in with, so you don't really know exactly. Yeah. Any questions on that?
Nope.
All right, well. Okay. Okay. You want to finish with the bridge?
Yeah, let's go through them quick.
Okay. Okay, property taxes, reimbursement from township, okay, so that's gonna be, again, the cost of the building bridge on Atkinson Road, Nelson Township. It's gonna be 80% of that cost is gonna come from the, Township Bridge Program Fund, and it's gonna get put back in here because we front all those township bridges on a special bridge, and then again, when everything is finalized out, settled out, everybody's happy, I's dotted, T's are crossed, then I transfer the money so that I don't have to go back and redo it for another $1.30 that, or something like that. It's irritating. So I get final out and transfer back. So that's where that's why that's coming back in interest. Miscellaneous, that's income in that regard. That's gonna be a lot of the billings that we have to the townships because I wish it wasn't this case, but it is. We end up inventorying a lot of the culverts, and so we're buying culverts and we're selling back to the township at cost. So that's a lot of that right there, most of it. And then expenditures, I do have a township bridge plugged in there for next year. That's where the majority of that cost is coming from. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to do it. I don't know that I'm gonna have enough TVP funds to get the job done. The only way that we would do that is if we fronted the money and we felt we could front it until August of the following year when we got another allotment in, but I don't know that we're gonna do that. So I put it in there anyway, so that we had it. But that's where the majority of that expenditure is coming from. Most of the other parts of that expenditure is gonna be just culvert purchases and there's just kind of a lot of little things that go into that too. You're dealing with drainage structures, so.
No questions?
Okay, county matching.
Should I rename that something else?
Hmm?
Should I rename that something else, highway federal aid matching?
Me,
Just something that might be more descriptive.
might be, yeah. Yeah, because this is a fund that, where your expenditures out of this fund are there to match state and federal money. So you got a project with state or federal money in it, that's where that's the only place you can use this money. Okay? So more fuel tax money, federal allotments and things like that, projects we do that, that's where that money's used. So what I got plugged in for this, in terms of expenditures, the way I do this is, okay, so when you run a federal job, we never see that federal money. We get allotted a certain amount of federal money a year, roads, bridges, but we never see that money. The money never touches our treasury. What happens is you program that money with IDOT. Okay, they program it out based on the projects that you want to do. They program it. When you do the job, we do the work on it, and then they let it out, and it's all let in Springfield. We get a contract that's developed by Springfield. The work gets done, and all the while, Springfield's cutting the checks to the contractor. And when it's finalized out, which takes a while to final out that paperwork, then they send us an invoice for our agreed upon share. IDOT sends us an invoice for our agreed upon share. Typically, they're 80/20s. I got enough money in the matching fund, and dwindling. Actually, I'm negative. Now let's go negative, but I'm somewhat negative, or was somewhat negative in the federal funds. I may increase our percentage of that match, but I mean that's ours to do what we will. So that's how that works. On a federal situation, on a lot of times what I'll do with this to match state money is to do our routine seal coating. I'll put in, maybe $10,000 worth of MFT. It runs through the MFT rigmarole, you might say, through IDOT, gets approved, and then I'll match it with $100,000 of our money out here in order to do the seal coat work. Otherwise, we wouldn't get any of that done, as we can see when we look at MFT. So what I have to do, the reason I go through all that is because I figure out what we still owe IDOT for past projects that have not been filed out. Then what I plan to do, and I assume that I'm going to get the bill this year for the projects that we do, because it's happened before, just hardly ever. So I assume that all those expenditures are going to come due next year. So, but most of the time they don't. So we just carry it. Anything else? Any questions on that? Okay. County motor fuel. Okay. So really my expenditures on county motor fuel, and we probably just need to let's talk about revenues in general, since that's the first thing. Okay, so the revenue picture has changed in county motor fuel tax. We have three components that really come to us now out of county motor fuel tax. And they're all just a little bit different. We have our standard allotments. Okay, that shows up on our allotment sheet, standard allotments. We now have what's called the TRF fund, Transportation Renewal Fund. That has to do with the capital bill that was passed and the increased MFT that went into effect last July. And then we have the Rebuild Illinois Fund. That's bonded money. That goes into MFT, but I have pretty severe restrictions on how it's spent. I have to spend it on what's deemed a bondable project, which is somewhat of an ambiguous definition that I have to sort through with IDOT. Just leave it that way. but I have to spend that money on that, even though it goes into the MFT account. You'll be seeing, if we're getting those in 2 allotments per year for the next 3 years, and then that's shut off, all right? Those are bonded money. The state of Illinois is going out for bonds to pay for these allotments that they give us, okay? So in 3 years, there's gonna be an extra $1.2 million roughly in our MFT account that I may not have spent, but I have to have it earmarked. Actually, I gotta spend it by 2025, but I'm gonna spend it on a bondable project, okay? And I'll just have to sort that out, light out what that's gonna be. So you're gonna see potentially MFT balance go up somewhat artificially, okay, over the next 3 years. Because I get what, it was like $245,000 per allotment. That's not enough for me to do a bondable project. You barely get the sod scraps out of the ditch. So, I gotta let that build up before I can do a job, all right? TRF fund, those are increased funds. Increased motor fuel tax funds can be spent like we normally can spend motor fuel tax money out. We can buy rock with it, we can seal coat with it, we can kind of do what anything that's MFT eligible, we can do with that. So that is where you're seeing the real increase in our MFT allotments. MFT allotments in general are down, all right? They just are because fuel usage is down. So
That bonded money, the state actually sold bonds to generate that money.
they sold or will sell. They haven't sold them all yet.
How are they gonna pay them off? How they, what's their revenue stream?
The revenue stream is all MFT increase. It's licensing increase. You go license your snowmobile trailer now, instead of whatever it was, $35, it's now $112 or something like that. That has, which we feel that's an artificial number because it's an artificial number that they're banking on there. So they can get a little bit of trouble there, but that's how they're paying for all those fee increases plus the MFT is how they're paying that. Those bonds back. So, yep, that's where that comes from.
Any other questions?
And then on the expenditure side, I put together one of these. This goes to IDOT. It's estimate cost. It's got everything itemized out on there. This will be the number that you guys vote on via resolution to appropriate about November. Okay, that's where that number comes from, is off this sheet here, where it's all itemized out. Remember, to spend MFT, county board, that's a county situation. County board must appropriate, IDOT must authorize before those are spent. So that's why it goes through the two-step process.
Any
Yeah,
capital purchases besides the one-ton truck?
that's all we can fit in there, which leads me back to a real discussion that we need to have on cash balances, because the way I got it figured, I got them all listed out by fund here. You can look at them now, or you can ask me for them later, I can email them out, I got them if you want them. But I project cash balances into the end of the 2021 year for each fund. And when I look at the projected cash balance for county highway in particular, which is where that would come from, I'm looking at around $350,000, which I can't do that. It won't cash flow until tax time. It just won't. But it's all, the expenditure side of things is already somewhat bare bones as it is. I mean, there isn't a whole lot of fluff in there to get rid of. I mean, the only real fluff is if there's a light winter, then you end up under budget. But who knows? We don't know about that. The way I do this, doesn't matter.
Well, we've been lucky with winter, we had the salt, we haven't had a lot of that.
No, your salt kind of hits you on the following year. It's sort of a trailing cost actually, because you end up having to replenish what you used in 1 year into the next, as we go into a stockpile.
Would you plan to rehire your other employee or what's your thoughts there?
I would say if the committee is pretty comfortable with the salary of this line item as is, then I would probably start looking in September. If you don't have a comfort level, or very good comfort level there, then I'll have to wait until,
Well, at the time, you had the COVID going on and you lost your employees and hired one, he was very gracious to offer that up. So go through your employee list, I don't have it in front of me.
okay,
How many you got down there?
okay, so you got 9 maintainers
Okay,
and a foreman.
okay.
Right now, I've got the assistant county engineer, myself, and Brenda, the office manager.
You got 9 maintainers and only have 10, or
Historically, I've had 10, but we cut that back a number of years ago.
now you have 8 though?
No, we hired, did the replacement hire on that, so they're up to 9,
Okay,
they're up to 9. We're
who's the one you're missing?
the engineering tech.
Okay.
No, the engineering tech. I did the budget in my truck this year. I was out on construction work and
Yeah, well, I go back.
that's just, I mean, well, that big a deal, but I mean, it's just the way it is. That's the way it worked. It's, and I can get through it this year. That's not a problem. But long term, I mean, there's things going on that I'm missing on, you know, on more longer term sort of things and planning and that kind of thing. It's not getting done, but we're able to do it this summer.
Was that new hire on here, Dave?
It's built into the salary others line item.
What salary were you starting?
Where was it?
I know, varies. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's in the salary others line item. It's
In highway.
just built into that.
Oh, it's built in the.
Yeah, it's built into there, yep. Salary range, I'm not sure. You like to say it could be come in a little less than where he went out, but
You-
it's really kind of a tough position, honestly, to fill. It's not.
You said you had 9 maintainers
Correct,
plus Bill?
plus a foreman,
That's it.
correct, yep.
Okay, I only have 8 on my list. You have them all filled?
Oh,
I thought we're missing.
you have Jay Eller on your list?
You're not?
That's because he retired and he was replaced,
With,
Mike,
Wilson.
Wilstead.
I got my Wilstead on here.
Oh,
I have Emmett Hicks, Melandruz,
yep,
Menson.
Yep.
Neer.
Yep.
Stewart.
Yep.
Fusion,
yep,
Walter.
Yep.
Wilson.
Wilstead, and, hang on,
Oh, Barlow.
Marlon,
Here he is. I do have him. Never mind, sorry.
Good test, though, Paul.
Yep. Here we go. Audit.
Pass.
I have him in the wrong word.
So your truck fleet's good, you think, for the winter, or if you,
yeah, it's all right. What I don't like doing is we too far behind. I mean, yeah. Normally, you know, you got 10 trucks is, we've kept 11 with a couple spares. But you know, when those things get 10 years old, they need to go out the door. And, or you get, you know, every year we got one that's 10 years old. I mean, if you rotate one a year.
you got 11 now?
Yeah.
Trucks.
Well, we got more now, and I'm trying to get rid of a couple of old ones on Big Iron or something. Move on.
So, you're not purchasing another one for 2021?
Yeah,
Well, before we did the capital.
yeah, I got it in the capital list, but that's, you know, you guys will have to kind of sort through that, I suppose, and most all the other requests.
We had a couple big projects going on here and things, so that's what's probably gonna be investments this year. but I just wanna make sure you-
Yeah.
You got a capital list for us, or you got something you wanna show? us?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'm gonna have that, so
You got it?
I don't have it.
No.
Oh, you know, I couldn't pronounce the capital list.
So what I got on there
You want me to make copies?
is, I break it. What I got on there, I believe, was the way I listed it out. And I wasn't sure kind of how you wanted that listed, because there's sort of, anyway, so I listed, year 1, 2, and 3. And in terms of priorities, I had a single axle, I had a, single axle dump truck year 1, excavator year 2, tandem year 3, is how I had it listed out.
I never got that, because you know,
So you get that?
I was waiting for some last minute ones and I never did copy
Well, that's all right.
anything, so,
Okay,
wait, but I.
but did you get it? Did you get it from me, Paul?
Probably.
Okay, well, as long as you got, then you can get it out, or, I mean, I can get it out too.
Okay, you have been, having problems with the excavator. Do you think it'll make it another year or two?
I sure hope so. We spent, about $21,000 on it, so I'm banking on it.
how old is it?
96? 96? Yeah, I think so, Marilyn. I mean, it's the trouble, that was the agonizing decision, is doing all that work on it, is you think you're gonna have it, and then something that age, you just don't know what's next.
But it is functioning now?
Oh, yeah, it's all right now. Yeah,
Okay,
we're good to go with it now.
good.
Yep, it's got a hydraulic tune up there, and it takes it way better, and, it does get down the road a little bit better, which that was a kind of a drag. We don't have to get behind and give it a shove up the hill.
The only thing you have on here is this 165 for this year, the other two you put on there for the next 2 years.
Correct.
Yeah, so
I
I
didn't know
got
how
that.
you, I didn't really kind of know how you want it, that's how you're right, that's how I did it.
So I will, because I put this on that master capital sheet, and I got Greg's this morning and some updates
Oh, really? I
from,
do have it.
I can make copies of it if you want. Or my plan was to get it all on this 5-year capital plan, which Dave Dave Powers gave me an update this morning that I was gonna clean up and get to you guys. So
Alright,
if I have it to you by tomorrow,
yeah, that's fine, I just, when he was here, I thought that was time to talk about it.
Yeah.
But so you have a single line?
Yeah, I got a single, I got the excavator, the tandem, year 1, 2, and 3, 65,210, because the excavator came with the trailer, and then, 190 on the tandem. 165, 210, and 190, year 1, 2, 3.
I think I have a couple things, a couple years out from there too, because I figure they'll be replacing something else. Why not?
Should do some every year, to keep it right, but.
That was
I
the plan,
understand
that
that.
you should, but the base plan worked out on leasing.
Yeah, well, we got 10 trucks, and basically roll one every year, so
Yeah.
Yep,
it's 1 years old.
yep, they get pretty beat by year 10.
Yeah. What's your oldest truck now you got?
Oh geez, I didn't bring my list on that one. Our oldest one's actually probably 15, 16 years old, at least. At least.
So. Any other questions for Dave?
One question, David, the chairman,
Yes.
talked about the legal fees for the landfill.
Yeah, we have that kind of plugged in some legal stuff.
Okay,
Legal,
so,
or in contractual services, that was a portion of the contractual services.
because we've been paying through our office,
For the chairman's office?
Yeah.
so do we want that?
It should go right to solid waste, but that's what we should.
I would think so.
That's my question.
Yeah.
So we probably need to make sure that's correct there. And you feel comfortable with the amount you got, the 200,000, you're good with that? Alright. Yeah, that's,
If it goes over that, somebody else can pay for it.
yeah, good. Check there.
No, I don't mean within the county either.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that later.
Yes, we are. Alright. Anything else for Dave? We'll look at the capital purchase and we'll get all done there.
The only other thing I'm pretty concerned about actually is where I think the cash balance will be on motor fuel tax. It's been slowly dwindling over the years. I was really hopeful getting that additional TRF money in there would shore that up and at least stop the bleeding. We've been bleeding that.
But
year after year after year.
TRF money so restricted, though, right?
TRF's okay, it's the Rebuild Illinois that's restricted. So here's the deal, I should probably go back to that, because Quite honestly, I mean, we're dipping into that at $420,000 a year to fund county highway. You realize that? It's coming out of MFT, we're putting it in county highway. Right?
Yep.
So we have been taking that cash balance in MFT has been year after year after year after year after year, it's been dwindling. And, right now, we're looking at a negative balance at the end of the year. And you can actually go negative, but I don't want to do that. My hope was that the TRF would, and the increased allotments would make up for this, but instead of, because we were really looking at a 68% increase in our income, I thought, okay, now we should be okay, but now the drop, we're not a 68% increase anymore, we're 15, 20, maybe. And that all depends on what's yet to come, so.
So you want us to address that at the levy?
Now, well, I don't know if you
Tax doesn't
could
work
to
out.
that degree.
No, I understand that, but we're drawing it out.
Oh, okay,
Allow
so
Peter to pay Paul.
I get you.
So that would be a way.
Yeah.
But, you know, our levy, we're out money.
I know. So I bring that up just so you're aware of that when you are doing the juggling act, you know, when you get it all said and done. That is one of the balls you got up in the air.
That's why we buy a lot of trucks out of capital, so it made it easier to fund them. But we'll have to look at that. Maybe we'll have one session just levy, so we can make more time on that, because that's most important.
So
There's not a lot of options, but we will sit down and look at it, you know, we're not gonna,
I know,
you know.
I understand. So I'm just saying that's there's one of the balls in the air for you, so.
Well, we're gonna have to address it sooner or later. I mean, we can't go negative, so. All right. Any other questions? Thank you.
You bet. That's it.
Anything else you want to share with us? We got it?
Yeah, we're good.
All right.
We're good.
We'll look at the capital, at some point, we'll get a hold of your, maybe Jim Schuline or Carolyn or decide what we're planning, if we've got more questions.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you do have any more questions, it's sort of a rapid fire deal here, so
Can you email
settles
us?
in, let me know if
Can
you
you
have questions.
email your, put the list to us, just so if we have questions about the new truck?
Yeah, yeah, you want that equipment list? Yep, you bet,
That always helps us go through that.
Okay.
you bet. Yeah, I didn't know really if that was the thing in play or not, so, now, to get that to you. You want me to just email it to you? or-
Yeah, either way, either way. You got Becky's email?
You know what, so that's what I was gonna say, I'll just get it there, you can get it.
Yeah, but you, because I gotta send it to her. and then
Send it back
I'm not allowed
to
tomorrow.
He sends it back tomorrow.
Sends to you, it might be Friday.
Yeah.
All right, well, the only thing that might not be up to date on that, might be some hours, but
We just want to look at it.
You get a good idea.
Yeah.
I get a good idea of it.
To see if we can get through another year, because we might have to ask you to skip a year on the truck, which I understand.
You can get through. It's just a matter of how many years you get through before you really.
But there becomes a point of no return at some point, then you're really in trouble.
And I'm like, apparently that excavator might be, it's your call, so don't your call, so.
Okay, I'll get it to you.
Thanks, Dave.
You bet.
Appreciate you coming in.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. See ya.
Well, we're behind schedule already.
I know, that's what I was
Did Jim tell you guys that he was gonna be gone for a couple hours this morning?
No?
Oh, he called me yesterday, told me. She-Line.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Greg, you're out there, we go get Greg.
I thought I saw him in the hallway.
Just a FYI for you guys, the YouTube and everything will stay streaming.
Okay.
Just.
Yeah.
Because otherwise by stopping and starting,
You're there, but.
No, man. Everybody knows I'm a movie, right?
Yeah. They're harder on the movies.
I was afraid of that.
I see blood in the water.
Like sharks.
Tears work for that. Back off.
Hi there. Do we have the latest, Paul, do we have the latest?
Yes. Yes. The
Number 10 in
only
county
thing
general.
that changed is the officer salary amount is higher by 27.50 up to 60,000.
I'm sorry, I was talking and then I didn't hear what you said.
Okay, so maintenance is in the general fund.
Yeah.
And it's number 10, I mean, the suffix is 10.
Good.
So most of his stuff is in here. There is a little bit of money budgeted for him in Fund 50, which is the Public Safety Fund, the LEC. That we're paying for the LEC out of. He's got some money in there too.
How much is that, 30,000?
We put 40,000 in for maintenance this year.
Alright.
So that's gonna be under the public safety tab in your books. But if you wanna start with the maintenance.
Yeah, let's start there, but I want to make sure we got enough of that, and that's for the new LEC, right?
Yeah.
So, okay,
So the only thing that changed from what you should have the only thing that should have changed would have been the salary, the officer's salary amount is up to 60,000 from the 57,250 that was budgeted in there originally. So that was the one change.
I met with Greg and, he said that, when he was hired,
I was waiting with them up there.
I'm sorry about,
Okay. I'll leave it through.
he said that he was promised at the hiring process that after 6 months of working there, he would get the raise. However, that wasn't documented. Kind of wanted a little bit of input on the hiring committees. And just to have it cleared out, go ahead.
Yeah, what did happen, there was a raise at 6 months, but there was also, I guess my understanding, promise of this long-term after year, so.
But he said it wasn't, he didn't have any documentation for it, it
Sure.
was just a verbal.
Yeah, it was just a verbal.
And,
Teresa.
I believe it's right.
Yeah, I think we talked about it.
is that okay? I don't have a problem.
No, I don't either. The response when we got all through. John, you're gonna get you. No, I was gonna.
I mean, that's,
Fight for it too, just, you doing a whole job. Yeah. Right here.
Thank you.
And if you wanna take this, if you interview. Who did you interview?
I did, no, I did.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and take it from there?
Besides that, the other question I had with them was, a change of, numbers over here on the maintenance line item. Going from 120,
162,
yeah, 129, 130 to 162. And then you add that 40,000 on there, it's 200. Sometimes, 202.
40,000.
So there's 40,000 in
Okay.
fund,
Yep.
right, Fund 50, that's public safety
Public
fund.
safety fund.
So we're from 129 to 162, that's 33,000.
Did we purchase anything, or why did that? Or was that something that you anticipate to?
The only thing we had purchased would be, the tractor, and snow blower.
That was all.
But that was all.
That was all capital budget.
This is next year, it's not anything this year.
So
Yeah. it's
Yeah, this is a
Right.
5-year.
let me ask it this way, Greg. In the past, the average has been about 130 that we've spent, not including the LEC, new LEC.
That's
Because
correct.
it's gonna have its own.
Right.
So now we have 162. Do you anticipate doing more work this year than you have in the past? Or is it possible that we could cut this back down a little bit from 162 down to, I don't know, 130, 140?
Because this is also gonna be covering, the new LEC, right?
No.
Or it'll be separate from that, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can probably keep it the same as what it was,
Around 130?
right around 130. I think we're gonna be good on that.
Okay.
Cause I've got like 96% left in just the new courthouse, but we've got carpet changes and all kinds of emergency stuff that comes up, that I'm trying to pull out of my budget for that instead of pulling out of capital. So there's different things there that I'm probably gonna use up
Cause we had, figured in to come out of capital for a, air dryer for the control system for the heat and cooling system. I went ahead and ordered that, I'm gonna pull out of my own budget for that, for the new courthouse.
How much is that?
Just $2,600.
We do have capital repair improvements account, so, you know, use that. Something you want to do.
Well, we got some calculation, or some calibrations on all the, thermostats, they're all pneumatic thermostats, and they haven't been calibrated for years, and we have a lot of troubles with the control system right now, we're trying to get that fixed, that was scheduled to come out of, capital, but they're still working on that, it's been over a year now, so.
You know, remote sensing or something, you could check buildings.
We have a remote, but it's antique. I mean, when they put the new rooftop units in, they didn't change the control, system. And so now we're working with a computer that is so slow, you gotta wait half a day just to get it up, and it does it now with the new parts they put on the new air conditioner, it doesn't talk to each other. They're supposed to, there's 2 units up there, they're supposed to talk to each other and correspond back to the computer. Then we have a way to set different rooms so we know what temperature. If somebody's getting too warm, we can manually set that off the computer. Well, with the computer being so outdated, I think we're gonna end up having to bite the bullet and change that system. We're trying to get it repaired now and get by, but I don't know. It's been, like I say, a year. They've been, the IT guys for that, control systems are still struggling with it right now.
So even in the wintertime, can you remotely check buildings, whoever's working and stuff like that on the weekend or something?
No, you have to actually be in the building and go to that computer. We don't have anything that has an app off our phone. If we get an updated system, I think that'll probably have that on there. But this thing's like, it's like one of the first computers that they came out with, the old Macintosh. It's antique.
It's not a flat screen.
It's not. But I think we can keep the maintenance one, right at the 130 mark.
Okay, can I bring up the old jail water problems over there that you experienced the day that we were interviewing?
We think we found it.
He has
found
leaks
some-
over there and it's racking up the water bill.
30 gallons an hour it was going. Doesn't seem to be a lot, but we've repaired toilets, we've shut off water to showers and things, but we're trying to keep the water on because Lori was gonna use part of that for her wellness checks and stuff, but now I think that's gone away, so I'm hoping that we can it'd be nice if we could just shut the water off, but, we can't shut the heat off or anything, that's the thing, and if we get a leak on the boiler system, then we don't have any water to actually protect that and feed that boiler, so it's a darn if you do and darn if you don't right now. The city's been really good about keeping track of that for me and letting me know when the volume gets high, because there's people that come, even though that building's empty, there's people that are utilizing it for training purposes, there's fire department, the state police there, city police, they're training in there all the time and they're using the toilets and stuff like that, and when the system, it's old galvanized lines, when it's not been used for a while, you get the chunks of rust and everything, and then if we're not in there all the time, well, then we've got something running continuously, so it'd be real nice if they do tear that down and they get that thrown on our side, because I think we figured it was costing the county right around $50,000 just to maintain that empty, and it's just the heating and the air conditioning. We shut the air conditioning completely off this year, when we have exhaust fans trying to exhaust some of the moisture and stuff out, but trying to get it down to a bare minimum.
In your opinion, is that building salvageable, or should we be repurposing it or something?
I think the jail part of it is in really bad shape. I think you'd spend more money on that, revitalizing it, than you would if you just went from square one. And there's a lot of problems with that building. And when you start replumbing that building and everything, it's gonna be a disaster.
Part of the problem is the lower level is sunk into the ground.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Just
moisture.
not
That thing
in
sweats.
1970, and it's not a good
Yeah,
situation.
it sweats a lot. And that's a lot of their trouble. It sweats, and if the air conditioners aren't running long enough, it doesn't pull the humidity out, then you get mold growing. It's not, the ventilation in it is horrible. I mean, the quality of air in there is just crazy.
It's just poor design.
Yeah, it's very poor design.
It was, when I last time I was there, it was full of, still desks and chairs and stuff.
We've got a lot of that cleaned out. We've got the election stuff stored in there now, and if we tear that down, me and Kathy's trying to work on a situation where we can store these units. And they take up a lot of room, and they have to be in a fairly dry area. So I don't know if we're gonna have to consider like a storage, one of those, container units. I know it's gonna look like heck. We might be able to put it back behind the fenced-in area in the maintenance parking lot and use that for some storage. We need storage desperately for a lot of the stuff. Township buildings, they used to store that for us, and they said, when you take it out this time, don't bring it back, we don't want it back. So we were stuck with it, so we're desperately looking for a place to store that stuff in a dry area.
Sometimes the containers are nice.
They are nice, but in the city limits, I won't, unless it's in a fenced-in area, I think
They're hard to keep dry too. So We,
yeah, and
we have some machines in them, and we have problems.
right, is there metal, and then if it's, cool
Yeah, great
outside.
idea,
Yeah,
but they fell.
right, yeah.
So that's yet another thing we need to worry about storage for trailer jail. The list keeps growing of things that are in there that have to find a place to go.
right. Everybody gets a new computer, though, guess where it goes? It goes down to our lunch area because the old one, because,
Have you, off the subject, I'm sorry, but have you guys thought about getting rid of some of this stuff, doing an auction?
we've been trying to, well, the electronics, we can't, you can't auction that off. When it's down in my area, it's usually junk. But trying to get rid of electronic junk is a task right now.
Well, take it down anyway to Dave and.
Yeah, they were supposed to get a container and we could bring all we want, but it never occurred. Because with the COVID, I think it shut everything down.
He's right now taking on skids down there.
I could contact him.
I don't know how much you got, but I mean,
He won't.
We got probably a semi-load right now, at least.
sell
That's a good idea, Tom.
We've talked to Dave, but Dave said we could piecemeal it down there, but as Greg said, we've got at least a semi-load.
Well,
We got stuff here
We
and
took a 12-foot or 14-foot trailer and pickup load from Leidy down, and they had enough pallets for it. I mean, it's,
And a lot of
it's gonna be laying along the ditches, no.
a lot of hard drives and stuff have to be removed also, so that'll take a little time too, and Mike's first one time.
Well, I just, we talked once before about closets being over full, and every time you guys gotta move something,
Oh, we just have
waste some
money.
time and money.
Yeah.
If we just could get rid of it, we'd have some revenue stream, small, but some revenue stream coming back.
Right.
Now you got all these chairs, you're gonna have the table.
Well, we had to clean out the second story expansion area for Kevin Lally,'s PPE stuff to be put in. And there was old steel desks in there and everything, and nobody wanted them, so I had two guys load it up on trucks and trailers and take it to Simco and cash it in, and we got $60 for it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's,
Well, at least we got rid of it and we got it out of our area.
yeah.
So we're trying to get
We
cleaned up.
need
and
to
make
clean
it-
house on a lot of stuff, all the stuff that's over here. Get rid of,
Well, when we talked before, you agreed there's closets and stuff stored all
Oh,
over.
yeah, everywhere.
That nobody really wants.
Yep.
And if we can't sell it, we have to dispose of it, but I mean, it's costing us money, but you guys have to sort through and find something.
Right.
We should do something like South Valley College does every year. They have an auction. It's for like $5, anything you want from there in the basement. It's an office
Well,
chairs and all kinds of equipment.
And all these auction companies.
Anything to get rid of.
Online auctions and line it up and they make their money off of the buyer's premium.
Yeah.
It's gone.
I mean, quantify it. I didn't do it.
But if there's that much electronics, would it be worth it, instead of taking it to Dave's, just have the truck come up here and, it would have to come out of another account. I wouldn't put it on solid waste. Or we could, there's a little money there, but, just get the semi up here, one and done.
It'd be easier because.
Instead of
then I
you
have to hire
guys-
two guys to haul.
You'd have to haul it down and then they have to pay somebody to reload it.
He just said it's not costing us anything, but we'd have to find out how it has to be sorted. And then I know it has to be stretch wrapped on pallets and all that, but Yeah, dude, that's a good idea.
We'll work with Dave and figure that out, because there has to be a way to do it if it's accepting it.
It needs to go, and it needs to go while we've got the market there for it, you know?
I'd do one and done instead of
Yeah.
paying,
Yeah, otherwise you're handling it 2 or 3
Yeah.
times.
and that's costly.
Yeah.
We've already handled it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, cause we got stuff here too. We got stuff here, we got stuff in the OGL.
We should be good and up to speed now, you know, so what we've got, and I think we're gonna do well, you know, even through vacations and everything like that. I'm trying to cross train right now, but everybody's going through vacations now, we full the staff, so I gotta wait for all that to be over, and then we're gonna start rotating staff to get acquainted with all the other positions. So, but especially in janitorial, I don't want somebody just in one specific area, I want them to be, you know, trained in all the areas. So if one goes on vacation, I can move them around. But yeah, I think we're fully staffed now, I think we're good. We're gonna.
Pleased with the quality of the hires.
Yes, we had a really good, hired, pool this time. Had some really close scores on, and I think we're gonna do good with it.
Dave, you wanna go through the capital purchases for maintenance?
Yeah, I took your sheet.
Yeah.
I took everything, this is the 5-year plan that we have in place since last year, I guess. And I took the numbers that you had. Now, there's some of these activities that are, you had everything lumped in 2021.
Right.
I actually put up in the year that they were budgeted for previously.
Right.
If there's a reason we need to move them back to 2021, we would look at that, certainly.
I put it as priority, you know, I was figuring like, a number 3 or a number 2 priority, we gotta probably go with, instead of 2021 budget, we could take that to 2022 and then
Okay.
maybe 2023.
Okay.
That's what I was designated the priorities for. That way I could spread it out over a few years.
Sure.
Um,
So that.
So
actually makes-
priority 1 is 21,
2021, yes. And then that's
22.
priority 2s would be the 2022, and the priority 3s I was designated as my 2023. I was trying to get like a 3-year budget. I was working on a 5-year budget plan last night, but I got all the way on the rooftop, so we didn't get it done.
Well, and this is the previous 5-year, which actually contained most of what you had,
Right,
plus a few items.
right.
And I added those on the bottom. But, I guess we'll look at those. I wasn't recognizing the priority was the years.
Yeah, I should explain that, but
Not a problem. But what we did, I took and Xed out the things that have been completed. There's a few things that were deferred. Greg has been good enough to get some numbers on some things that we previously didn't have numbers for. The big one being, the old courthouse exterior, is closer to $500,000. And, the plaster repair at 144 should be done after the exterior is completed.
right, I figured that the following year.
Yeah, those are plugged in there. The roof, new courthouse roof, actually old courthouse roof was updated. That is a bid of 135, so that's a good number for right now to 2024.
And that's for both levels of the roof on the old courthouse.
Yeah,
And we might have to have some repairs done to the upper level before we do anything with the lower level, because, last time I was up there, I noticed from all that high wind that we had, we do have some chairs up there that I gotta get addressed. I'm gonna have to get a hold of Sterling Roof and have them look at that and get that repaired. I'll have to get a cost on it to see what it's gonna cost.
I updated the phone system work for 2020 and 2021 based on our recent bids and approvals. Moved the retaining wall out, and this would really be, I think, if we were to be able to get grant money to help with that, but the city doesn't seem to be willing to participate at this point. This is a updated number for a quote, so about 145 to fix that wall and make it match the rest of it, but that shoved out a ways, and if there were grant money available, that would be a good place for that. Stuff at the bottom is new things that Greg had put on. We have 2 maintenance vehicles that are, over 15 years old.
Yeah,
And
they're old and
what we would like to do is replace
worn
one
out.
with a truck. We have a van and a compact truck. We'd like to replace that with a truck, basically. 3/4 ton, half ton,
3/4 ton.
3/4 ton.
I had Ken Nelson's figure me 3 different ways. They had him figure me a 3/4 ton van, a 3/4 ton 4-wheel drive, just a standard work truck, single cab, pickup, and then also one of those, Canyon, smaller pickup in a 4-wheel drive like we have now. And they're all, in fact, I got the quotes with me. This 3/4 ton pickup truck, with all of our discounts and everything, comes to $38,391. The little Colorado pickup truck, it has a little extension on the cab, basically what we've got now. They have one on the lot, it has 2,253 miles, and it's never been titled. He's got that at, 29,542. And,
I have a question, Greg.
yes,
A couple years ago, I don't recall very well, we're doing a vehicle inventory, and, I thought we had a vehicle that Kevin Lowry had let go.
That-
Tahoe or?
That eventually, no, that eventually ended up at County Highway, I believe.
Yeah.
And I think the Colorado or Canyon, whatever it is that you've got now in maintenance, was initially an animal control
it
vehicle.
was, yes, it's got 178,000 miles on it. It's
You know, we need to be, if we're replacing vehicles, we need to be disposing of the,
Absolutely.
Yeah, because they don't want to trade in on it, just believe me, they like, nah, we don't want it, we keep it.
well, we need to get rid of it.
There again, we need to put them on auction or something.
Right. Right, I think you could just, I mean, you might even be able to set it out in the parking lot and put a for sale sign in it and put a number on it, and you wouldn't have to advertise it, and you'd probably get somebody that might want an old work truck or something, but it has a lot of problems, that little truck. It's, the brakes are, there's a module on it for the anti-lock brakes, and it's gone, and the body's just
Well, that's why animal
rusted
control
too.
was old, wore out.
So the recommendation is you had a 3/4 truck, that's Colorado, and then,
And then we have a 3/4 ton van that price is out at $30,450, all our discounts.
and
I recommend we get the pickup. One, you know, I'd like to have 2 vehicles, but if we can only get one, I would say let's get the bigger 3/4 ton. But
well, I think it gives you some options in the future.
Is that,
Right.
is that replacing the plow truck that,
No,
no, it's just be replacing the little van that we have and, and the,
Second van, same.
yeah, the little secondhand van, I mean.
that little green thing?
Yeah,
So at this point, what we would put in is the 38,391 for the 3/4 inch truck.
Yep.
We could retire the van and the animal control truck.
well, I think we'd have to keep one because we were short of vehicles when we had these 2, and now if we get rid of another one, because I have to share a vehicle with zoning, which isn't a problem most of the time, but sometimes she's gotta have the truck to go do her work, and I've gotta run here or there or somewhere to meet somebody or go get something, and it makes a little bit of problem for both of us.
How many vehicles do we have in maintenance?
We have 4.
Get the,
We got the one that Rick drives, and then we got the white one that Chris drives. That's an older 3/4 ton.
that's one with the plow for.
It has the
lots.
plow for lots, yep. And then we have the van and the little truck. So we have a total of 4 vehicles.
And the zoning vehicles extra from that.
Right, the zoning vehicle would be extra. Which, I don't like getting in her vehicle if I've been cleaning out a sewer or something, and then she's gonna get in it, nice clothes and go somewhere.
She probably doesn't like that either.
Yeah, she probably don't like it either. I try to keep it as clean as possible for her, but.
So we would be replacing one in 2022 2021. And I know the sheriff has used spread the cost over years. Is that something we want to do or do we do it at once?
I don't, in my opinion, but maybe these guys do, whatever, that was the loan he was taking out.
Sure. Prefer just to, okay. So then we'll put that in 2021 and we can put the other replacement in the following year.
Yeah, I would put
We
that
have to
there.
budget it for this time around. Year 2021.
I put on my list to go through it. Are you making a list, Paul?
I'm trying.
Okay, so we get this 3/4
You
truck,
guys haven't said anything that isn't already on this piece of paper somehow, some way, right?
Well, what I would say
I
is
think
for
it's all right.
the convenience trucks would be adding a line item for 2022 next to the one for 2021. And bumping the 2021 up to 38.5. And that would take care of the replacement of the van. And the one for 2022 would replace the animal control.
Yeah, the van is actually worse than the truck, so.
Sure.
Okay, you have two trucks on here.
Oh, you're looking at Craig's done.
Well, okay. No, I'm looking at yours. There's a maintenance truck in here for 2021 for $30,450. We're moving that?
No, we're making it 38.5 so we can do the 3/4 ton and get some flexibility
38,500,
for
okay.
future plowing if we need to.
And then we're
And
getting something else also,
I'm adding on for 2022 for the replacement of the other one.
which, for how much?
Want to do the same thing there for the 3/4?
Yeah, we probably should.
Yeah, see.
38.5 in
Yeah,
2022 also,
yep.
okay.
Okay. Then, the lawnmower with snowplow is the small one is it for the courthouse?
Yes, it's for everything in town here.
And that's gonna be 2022, not 21,
The 14.7 is 2021.
okay.
Very good. This was the old courthouse high-tech control system, I believe would need to be replaced with the actual rooftops, is that correct?
Yes.
So that was something that wasn't on my radar, maybe you could help us understand
Dean
what that
had
is.
Dean had it listed in his, extended budget for 2022. It's both rooftop units for this building.
Yeah, he's got that, and that's separate at 85. Is it, what's the 135?
So for the air conditioner we put in.
Yeah, we had, for 2020, in the middle of the page, for 2022, we had replacing the old courthouse air conditioning. And I bumped that up to 85 based on your estimate. And then the new courthouse air conditioning, he had that spread over 2 years, at 80 for 2022, 80 for 2023, doing half over that time.
Okay. Because I had a total price for both rooftop units at 134,640. Is
by both units, you mean both at here and there, or both units over there?
both units here for the, is that for the, the new rooftop units for the new courthouse. This is, I got it on here for the old courthouse. Two rooftop units for old courts. At 84, 828.
Our capital part there is what number, what we got in there. Capital improvement fire.
Yeah.
How much do we have in there?
Something should be paid out of that.
He had,
But
The new courthouse, the rooftops.
all of that's what we talked about, everything we can.
Yeah.
you had this,
Capital improvement,
the whole system, I wasn't
Oh, we're
sure.
going to.
Well, that's the controls for those units.
Is that included up here?
No, that's
So
separate.
everything on here
So
is
that's what we
coming out,
need.
and we have.
That
Yeah.
wasn't on.
Because we don't wanna do what we did there last time.
So you just took $50,000 out of it.
Left the whole control system and then put the rooftop units on it. And then you get 10 years down the road, the control system's outdated,
Well,
but the rooftop
it'll all
units are
roll into
still.
one.
So then you gotta go back through and spend another $135,000 to put the control system in.
Clarify this, because it seems to me like it's a lot of vehicles within a year. The 38.5 will be in two separate years, two different
No,
vehicles.
it's one vehicle.
one vehicle, but,
But there's two vehicles for
vehicles.
38,000.
yeah,
One to 2021, one to 2022.
Two vehicles, the same price for each one, is what
for each one, yeah.
They're gonna
But
put
it's
it in
not gonna
separate
be the same
years.
year.
No,
Okay.
2021 and 2022.
And then the 14.7 is also 2021.
Correct.
According to.
Like to do that.
Yeah, that mower's getting some age on it, and we've been lucky, knock on wood, that we haven't had any major troubles, because if that goes down, we don't have anything to plow or blow snow in the in-town area.
That's gonna need a blower, well, plow.
Everything that we've got right now, they still make that same model number tractor, and we can reuse our cab. It's a special fit
Okay,
cab for it, and that has heat and everything in it. So we can reuse that on this tractor. Plus, we can, reuse the wheel weights, all that stuff. It just
but
fits
how
back
about a
in.
blower? Will it-
The blower will interchange too.
Okay, so that's why you're asking for just a tractor and a plow.
Well, it'll be just it'll be the tractor and the snow blower, because the snow blower is gonna have the same amount of time on it as what the tractor does.
Okay, so the 14.7 though is, and it should say blower rather than plow.
Right, it'll be
Okay.
blower and tractor, right. And mower definitely more.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Same equipment.
And,
So it'd be lawnmower with snow blower.
yeah. And it's a 4-wheel drive, lawnmower. I mean, it's a fancy one, it's liquid cooled and everything. It's it's identical to the one we have now. So if you're gonna change, we need to do it fairly soon, because if they change model numbers, then the cab, then you have to buy a cab and everything to
Gets more fun.
yeah.
So the old courthouse high control system would be done with the air conditioner replacements for the old courthouse, right?
Right. The old courthouse, rooftop units, that's what's on there. And then the control system they have on there is also for the old courthouse, because.
So the control system is actually more expensive than the hotel.
Yeah.
So what is the control system? That seems.
It's a train unit, and it's very sophisticated. I mean, these rooftop units they've got all kinds of sensors. They sense outside humidity, they sense airflow, CFMs, they cycle the air conditioners, depending on what demand you have. There'll be 3 compressors in them, and they'll bring them on, stage them on to where they need to make their needs to cool it. It speeds up automatically variable speeds of the blowers. I mean, these controls are really sophisticated, and sometimes they're too sophisticated. It's hard to find. I was on the roof last night till 8 o'clock at the new jail, because we had one down, and it was a control issue, and it ended up being, it was a bad connection on a sensor that plugged into a board, but it took us 5 hours to figure that out.
So this would need to be replaced when we do the first, no, it's when we do the old courthouse.
When you do the old courthouse, I suggest you do the control system too, or else we're gonna run into the same situation we are at the old, or the new courthouse. We're gonna have newer air conditioners and outdated controls.
We need something like this also for the new courthouse.
Yes, if they do that, and I would say it's probably gonna be close to the same price,
So
because it'll be the same
we should
system.
then add a line for,
Yes, and I didn't do that.
Greg, is there any benefit to the controls? If you had the new system here and the new system there, can one set of controls that you can use your phone for, things we've talked about?
I think it has to be independently.
Okay,
I don't think they can all communicate together where I could do it off of one app.
okay,
I'd have to check into that, because I'm not
Well-
100% sure.
just a thought, I mean,
But I think it was just a matter of having 2 different apps.
Oh, that
for
shouldn't
each
be a-
system.
Huge problem. I mean, if he's got 2 apps, he's
no,
got 2 apps that he
no,
can
other
control.
than if you could cut the cost down.
Yeah, well, yeah, but
This controls have
I
to be the same.
understand that, yeah.
How they send the signal out.
Usually have one app and that's different units.
And a lot of it's wireless now, which our old systems are still wired, so.
so we would need to add a line for also 2022, when the first, new courthouse air conditioner is. Okay.
Right.
So we would, Paula, did you catch that, that's an addition.
No. I'm trying to sort this and put all this.
Yep.
Okay,
So the addition, we recognize is the new courthouse HVAC control system needs to be added in 2022 when we replace the first.
okay, so we have new courthouse AC and HV, right? HVAC?
Yep.
AC slash HVAC. And what years do you want?
The old courthouse is 2022. The new courts building starts in 2022 with one of the units, or one of the buildings, I should say, and the second set in 2023.
Okay. We don't need a new, this air handler, this is part of this whole thing, right?
Yes. The rooftop unit air handler is the same thing.
We wanna lump the control system and the air handler together because they're.
I would keep it separate because that price for the controls could change dramatically depending on how long, you let it go on.
Up or down.
Yeah.
Okay,
Very
so we
similar.
have a line item for AC, HVAC, and we have one for air handler
No,
for the new
No.
courthouse.
but you do the same thing.
Well, I thought you said to keep
HVAC.
them separate.
Well, the one is controls, just for the control.
HVAC control system would be the way to.
Yeah, HVAC control system would be the 135.
How many line items do you want? We're starting over.
4.
4 for the new courthouse,
Fourfold.
4 total.
So,
Okay,
middle of the page, we had old courthouse air conditioner.
uh-huh,
In 2022, that went from 80 to 85. The new courthouse air conditioners stay the same as 80 for 2022 and 80 for 2023.
okay,
And then we add 2 line items
okay,
for new courthouse HVAC control system for 135. And that would be in 2022.
HVAC controls. What year?
2022
Okay,
for 135. And the same thing for the old courthouse in 2022 for 135.
there we go, let me put this up on the, because then we could see what we're talking about here. Okay, so now I have the same thing for the old courthouse. All right, I have got the old courthouse AC, HVAC. Right,
Yep. Or you could just say rooftop unit.
AC,
just AC.
yep,
Okay. And that is, the new courthouse AC is 80 and 80 and 22 and 23.
Correct.
And the new courthouse HVAC controls is 135 and 22.
correct.
The old courthouse AC is 85, and that's in 21,
22,
22. And the old courthouse HVAC controls is 135
yes,
in 23,
22.
22.
It's gotta be done with the actual rooftop replacement,
Okay,
or should be, I should say.
okay,
Thank you.
okay.
Larry, you have a question?
Are we getting more than one bid for these?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Because
Yeah,
we've
these
done
prices
some
are just
projects in the
budgetary
county that
prices.
I haven't been happy with just one bid.
No, our purchasing requirements would require it, so
It's
Well,
large numbers, that's
Everything
why.
over 30,000.
Yeah.
Well, I
The-
think we should do anything over $1. We're paying $7,000 for plexiglass. I think we should get more than one.
Yep.
One quote regardless, just to,
I think the
Stay fair with
budget-
ourselves.
we did originally.
We went with the lowest one, yeah, but this time with the doors, the other company didn't really wanna do the doors. So we stayed, and they did such a good job with Dixie Glass and has been pretty patient with us, so.
That's a local merchant.
Yes,
So that's-
he's local besides, yeah.
Yeah, it was under.
And he does a beautiful job. I was really tickled.
He was a little bit.
you know, the
Yeah.
clerk's office downstairs, they did a fabulous job.
Yeah. In fact, they're supposed to be here today to replace some glass that was ordered wrong or something, so.
I wanna keep moving it behind the.
Yep, yep, sorry.
No, is there anything else we need?
No.
That's your,
I just suggest that the ceiling and tuck pointing, you really look at that and consider that because it's really ruining a lot of the plaster in the building.
Yeah.
I had a plaster guy come in and look at it and he has to tear, says, well, I have to tear open walls to see how much damage is back there because there's so much water. I said, well, we can't do that. Just give me a budgetary amount. So he figured it as close as he could for it.
Was the new courthouse still getting boilers for 56,000 in 21?
Yes.
Okay,
oh, whatever, it's in there.
we're leaving the carpet replacement in for 10,000 every year?
Yes.
It's the state's attorney office reporting to your.
Pardon?
Matt put that in.
I'm gonna say, I don't know what that is.
He put it in last year because he was tired of other people getting stuff and he wasn't getting any.
Well, he's not in the state's attorney's office anymore, so.
We can take it off.
I'll take it out.
it,
I didn't get anything from,
He wants to take the couch.
I didn't get anything from Charlie, so I don't know.
I'll ask him. When he comes in.
All right, okay, so the old courthouse exterior, we've got 500,000 in 21 that we're just talking about right now.
Right.
And we have old courthouse window replacement for 20,000 in 22.
No,
That doesn't exist anywhere.
no. I don't think there's anything wrong with the windows once you get them sealed up.
I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, the exterior bid is required, they remove all the sealant and reseal all the windows, so I think that should be.
And then the plaster repair inside the building is 144 and 22.
Correct.
The retaining wall is being pushed to 24 for 145,000. And then I've got the old courthouse roof for 97 and the new courthouse roof for 135, also in 24.
Right, and then the newer, the one thing we didn't catch, I think, last year was the new courthouse roof is in two segments, the 97 was in 24, and the 118 is really the following year in 25.
Oh,
So it's really both of those.
the 135 and 118.
No, the 135 is the old courthouse. The new courthouse is in two parts, the oldest part of the building and the newer part of the building.
Oh, you're right, okay. I've got them in the wrong.
Yeah.
wrong thing. Okay, 135 for old, new courthouse is 97.
97 and 24 and 118 is.
We're gonna take a break, maybe sort it out.
Yep.
Thank you, Frank.
Yep, thank you very much.
Okay, everybody remember YouTube's still live.
Run around.
I can mute it. I can try.
But you'll hear the teeth.
dollars. So, that $245,411 normally in a normal year would be gone within the first quarter. I will say that this fiscal year is gonna be a little different, merely because we have, as you'll see further on down the line, CARES Act funding. And the total amount for lots side is like 3.767 million over 3 years. That's 100% reimbursement for operations. So the administrative costs will still be going through the DOPE side. But that CARES Act funding for both lots as well as Greyhound are federal dollars. So that's a good, I think, good news. And actually the state is asking that we preserve basically as much as DOPE as possible, because they're seeing in terms of the cash receipts, what's actually being fed back into the system for sales and so forth. They're 3 months in the arrears on that, so they really don't know the amount that's coming in. It could be good, it could be much less probably than what they expected.
I got one of them with the goat, but the 5311, you got 10% increase every year.
That is dope. And about last year, we would have had around 1.28-ish billion. So 1.414 is actually projected. The other thing that is somewhat in flux is whether or not the state will withhold 5% of that. So roughly 72,000 might be held back by the state just as a share of, I guess, the payment.
Sure. On this, I know I'm jumping all over, but on the Greyhound contract, you get a 2.5% fee to, what do you call it,
Administered. Yeah.
Craig,
So-
is that CARES money guaranteed, or is that expected?
I would say it's probably as close to being guaranteed as possible.
It's not, but because we talk about it in a lot of budgets, CARES money, and it's just you know what I mean? It's, you wanna come back and say, yeah, the Fed doesn't have quite that much, so we give you 50% of what we said we'd give you, and we're not told the bag. It's kind of like, you think it's that guaranteed, it's.
Yeah.
The other goes to Greyhound, but that 1.5 million, what do you do with that?
That's the local system.
Okay.
So
I entered
any provision that's actually done by our drivers and dispatchers or those other provider organizations operationally gets reimbursed through that. The contracted amounts you'll see for like the I-88 project, the 1.084 million. That's actually a couple, what was it, 2 fiscal years ago, we rolled basically the I-88 as well as the other 5311 funding together into one contract. That amount has not changed. I-39 has not changed. It's still gonna be 899,000. That includes our administration portion, as well as marketing, as well as what is being done by Greyhound. We started tracking the in-kind, which this year is probably not gonna be as much by Greyhound. Normally they get 50 cents reimbursement on the dollar. So they're getting 50% back in in-kind. So that's 749,000, since they're gonna get 100% reimbursement for operations, probably won't come to fruition. But we needed to start tracking that within our receipts so that on the expense side, it would pan out normally. Intercity bus, that 493,000 is the remaining portion of our original capital reimbursement, or I should say our original capital allotment from IDOT, which came out, what, in 2014?
3 years ago. So 7 years ago, right after Easter.
So basically, the construction of the maintenance building, the canopy, the majority of the canopy, as well as some of the other monies, actually,
All that come out of there.
yeah.
So the rest, 493, what do you got tagged for that?
Carrie corrects me on that 493,500, that is the remaining portion that's going to the canopy.
Okay.
And then it could be added to the sign and all that.
A lot of the other ones are projections, and they're going off of previous years. Just a note about the 2 CARES amounts that you see there. Those CARES allotments are actually between January 20th of this year, and they'll expire by June 30th of 2023. So will we make it to June 30th of 2023 with all those monies? Probably not. But there's a portion for just this fiscal year that we're projecting.
That's what you're putting in there, this fiscal year.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're probably ready, we'll make it this year, just to make that something.
Yeah.
All right. Good question.
You see still the planned matches that we would receive from Hub City, Grindr, LCCOA, Village of Progress, and Rock River Center. All in there still, even though they're gonna get 100% reimbursement for the operational piece. Interest income in city bus.
The window wrap that's on the buses.
Yep. So that's projected right now at 15,000. Could actually go up even further because we've had a nice response actually from advertising.
You still have any room?
We definitely always have window room, and we have like 3 or 4 backs of the
I'm
buses.
forgetting about that. I don't want to put mine.
Put your liquor back there.
No.
I think it's just a great idea. Any other questions on the receipt side or?
No, but I see we had nothing, but what's the no-show fee, what is that?
You don't show your name.
Basically, if you cancel the same day as the service, or you don't show up, then you were supposed to be charged a certain amount of fee. And we've, given obviously the COVID situation, we haven't been taking fares from the end of March until June 3rd or July 13th. There, we have not been charging any of the fares.
Other than Medicaid, we still are billing for Medicaid rides since those.
So from IDOT's perspective, that lost revenue is actually an eligible expense that we requested reimbursement for in the fourth quarter. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but it's around, what, 12,000 that we had in lost fares during that timeframe of March through July 13th.
Going down to the southern end, what is all these, Morningstar meetings group, but that's,
We have, through those, the 100,000 and the 50,000, we have annual contracts with Morningstar to provide the marketing services on behalf of the I-39 route for Greyhound, as well as the I-88 route for Greyhound. And those were both, sent out for bids 2 years ago. This is the 3rd year, and we renew those, like for the I-88 route annually. But again, we went out for bids with both of those contracts, and as requested by IDOT. So effectively what they do is they do a lot more digital media type of advertising. If you start searching on the internet for public transportation, Greyhound, something of that nature, you're likely to see one of those ads come up. And then there's some also B-roll that is also associated with that.
I don't think that we put it in there, but as part of the CARES funding, we did allocate, I think, $400,000 towards the marketing for Greyhound as well, so 200 for each route.
Put that on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bro, shout out.
Yep. In fact, you'll see some new ones coming out because of the COVID response in relation to people traveling on Greyhound. You'll see the social distancing and the face coverings, similar messages as to what we've been doing with the local system.
I'll let you know ahead, keep putting things out to us.
You'll see some of the disbursements also obviously going to the providers in the local system. So Lee County Council on Aging, Hub City, Village of Progress, Rock River Center, Crider Services, those are contractual amounts. And again, I'd probably put an asterisk next to them this year because I'll give you a good example. It would be Crider for the fourth quarter, and normally they're over $100,000, usually around 120 for expense reimbursement during a regular year. What their fourth quarter reimbursement request was,
this year, at the end of the most recent fiscal year, was 15,000. So clearly, there's gonna be a difference with how much rides are or are not being provided by these providers. And both Kreider as well as Village of Progress, with some of the transport they're providing to persons with disabilities, obviously there's concern with not increasing the chances for persons with disabilities to get COVID or similar type of illnesses. And as we've been reporting in recent meetings, some of the ridership obviously is half of what it was a year ago. I'm happy to report that I think the last week we had, or the previous week, which is the most recent data we have, was probably 730 rides. If you look back a year, it would be around 1,500. So people are, the trend is still going up with ridership, but still, there's a significant number that we're not reaching yet.
So they're maintaining buses or the, you're gonna,
Around 26 or 27 buses total.
And that doesn't include like the Rock River Center, the Village, Hub City, that includes one Hub Cities.
And I think Carrie and I were talking about this before. If I go back to receipts for a second, I don't think we put in there, and all we put in as part of the capital picture for lots. We put in a request, a grant request for roughly 2.74 million for some new buses, as well as some more surveillance cameras for the individual buses. And then we were also looking at a supplementary location for our office in Ogle County, which has always been a discussion point with Ogle County board members. So being able to actually start buses from up there in Ogle County to reduce the number of deadhead rides, if you will. Empty buses are coming from down here in Lake County to go up to Ogle County. We could actually start services from the location, preferably in Oregon along Route 2. That would actually allow us to do that. Right now, we're hearing good information as feedback from IDOT as to whether or not that 2.74 will be completely allocated or not. We just don't have the final answer.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So you have the DOE grant, the I-88 grant, the I-39 grant. This State of Illinois 5311 is a different grant from those, right? Okay,
Yes.
and that's the one that I don't have the contract for yet.
You need the contract for 5311.
Well, because we're gonna set up another chart of accounts for that too. So,
Actually, as a revision to what I'm looking at right now, Paula, the 245-411 is actually wrapped into the 108-4542. It's one contract, so we have I-88 funding, which is $935,542. Then you tack onto the top of that, the 245-411. That's the total contracted amount, is the 108-4542.
okay, so the 5311 is part of the I-88.
Yes.
Not the I-88.
But
So
the other-
there's not gonna be another grant
There will not,
that we need to set up a new chart of accounts for.
no, I don't think so.
But do we wanna keep that separate? Or should we keep it together because it's the same grant?
I would keep it together for the same grant, because you need to do the reporting for that.
Well, we requisition separately for it. Even though it's the same grant, we requisition separately for this one.
You still want it to be
You'd still want it, okay.
in the same grant. But you can make it two different,
It's gonna have the same contract number.
you can make it two different revenue line items.
Perfect.
So all that you guys are looking at is gonna look completely different in the final budget book. Because this is what you're looking at now, everything above this red line. And it's gonna break into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new grants with different numbers. So just as a heads up, it's gonna look completely different.
It looks great. Thank you for doing that.
It will, I think, make their lives a little bit easier. Anyway, we have some tweaking, I think, lots of good stuff. And they're all gonna look different, everything's gonna be different. Everything is gonna look different. There's not a single account number that is
Attention,
the same.
must-
Writer of the apocalypse, it's change. Can't have change.
You better
Change it.
cause trouble. They haven't all wore off yet,
No.
have
No, that's a good job.
they? I'm thinking higher.
Under contractual services personnel.
360, so you're hiring more people or who does that?
That's huge.
That's huge resources that they're the employee agency for our current dispatchers and drivers on site.
But it takes a lot of liability off of, like, for unemployment, like if somebody quits or we have to get rid of
So you
somebody,
have
we don't.
somebody do that for every, all your.
A staffing agency for, the ones, our providers still hire their own drivers and dispatchers, but we have 15 drivers and 4 dispatchers right now.
But you anticipated to go up to 360?
It's roughly that, per month is $30,000 per month. I'll take you guys back a little bit to the historical piece. It was probably a year and a quarter ago, we had a conversation with Lee County Council on Aging. And at their request, they wanted to pare back their footprint within the system. And as a result, and they're technically running 3 regular buses currently, which is much different than they used to, which was probably more around probably 10 to 15 buses that they had in the system. So we needed a solution for hiring and it's keeping those drivers as well as dispatchers employed within the system.
That's how you do that.
Uh, And then just one point to follow up with the discussion piece with all of us. We have had some discussions with IDOT. Jim, I think we referenced this in our conversation last week. Their auditing side of the state, because of a compliance review piece that they were acknowledged on IDOT making. They've asked that we have a greater trail, I would say, of how you actually figure out where you put some of the stuff in the reimbursement portions. So basically, effectively, if it's a line item for personnel, they want to see it basically within our system and how it flows into the reimbursement form that we use to submit to IDOT. You want to be able to see that trail much more easily. And so there will be some changes that will allow us to better track that. And then that's also going to be a flow down to the providers as well that are providing that service. They'll be asked to do similar type of changes. So it's a more defined trail on those reimbursable expenses.
When I look at this, your salaries, you put an increase in them from last year to this year, 2% or what you put in?
I think so.
Okay. We're just so we're happy when we go through on this, we want to make sure who's got it in, who doesn't. Another thing is your other professional fees is up, but that, I'm sure that's due to all your, new routes you have. Something.
Professional fees, what goes into that line item?
To be honest. Well, I think, we put, CPS in there.
Yeah.
So $1,300 every month right off the bat is in there for our scheduling software. I know the auditing fee goes in there. All of anything else that we would put in there.
So we got it last week and, this is, which is the contractual line items?
Professional fees.
Professional fees.
I think some of the marketing was in there.
I think you're right. For,
Yeah, how IDOT actually expenses out or asks for us to expense. So if you're purchasing advertising through, say, a radio station, that goes on one line item. The creation of that ad, say by Morningstar or whoever, that is actually supposed to go on another line item. So that there's differentiation between those two. But
off the top of my head.
Even, the other question I had was, we had 50,000 last year for contingencies. You had nothing in there, you had room, to put it in there. You would want to do that anyhow, something comes up or.
probably not a bad idea, since we had that concern last year as well.
Yeah, you have 237,000 to do it from one year to the next, that would probably put that 50 in there, be something that. We would have to revisit the budget.
I know part of that discussion, I believe, was also with giving reimbursement to the treasurer's office
Yes.
for the bookkeeping expenses. And I know we vacillated on that figure, whether or not it should be that high, but I think we figured out, hold on, 374 a month.
Yeah.
That's 2,500. That was good.
Yeah,
Roughly.
374.
Any other questions?
Greg, did you have a discussion with the committee in regards to your status on moving towards mass transit district?
We did not, we can.
I think it'd be appropriate, just because it's gonna be, you get that move ahead, then that's gonna be good for us.
Just a historical look back. We had discussions with Lee County board members as well as Ogle County board members about the possibility of moving lots of its current status as a department to something that would be freestanding as a mass transit district. IDOT supports this, and I think it would obviously alleviate some of the risk off the county's books because it would be its own separate entity. You could have one of two models. One where you just basically create a mass transit district, and there's a separate model where you actually give taxing authority. If you do the taxing authority, you actually have to put that to a referendum. That is not the direction that we would propose. It would just merely be the first option. Merely because I don't think the taxing referendum option that it should go through currently. But it would basically move lots away from the county, arm's length. There probably will be some type of interaction still with the county in some respect.
Well, the county would still appoint, so we would have to set up a board of trustees. So in my opinion, I think this helps Ogle County out a lot because Lee County would get to appoint however many trustees we decide, and then Ogle County, instead of essentially having no say right now, they would be able to appoint trustees. They couldn't be on the county board, but they'd be able to appoint people to our board to then have a say in the transportation of the two county regions. And then if we ever wanted to pull in other counties down the line, they would have the same say.
I would be for that. I would like the Iron Reach from the county, just because I'm afraid of this thing, loaded someday. It still keeps going. So we gotta understand where we come from. We just talked to Dave Anderson this morning, his funding get cut. Everything, this just keeps growing. So it's hard for me to understand. I'm just afraid someday we'll get it dumped on the county's lap. So.
Exactly right. Well, what type of timeframe do you think we're looking at as far as moving to that structure, right?
Basically, the next step would be the development of a resolution that would have to be approved by this county board as well as the Ogle County board. That resolution, for purposes at least right now, is nearly complete. And basically that resolution will be the first step. From IDOT's perspective, if we choose to go in this direction, they would like to do it sooner within, say, the next calendar year, say January or February, to get those dominoes falling in a row, so that with the next fiscal year from IDOT's world, which will be July 1, they could start out with this basically money flowing through to the mass transit district as opposed to the county.
Because I think our
I think we
application,
definitely need to study it.
Yeah. It sounds like something that we need to pursue.
We've been talking about this for a year and a half. Greg keeps me updated on it also. He's the expert on it, so that's probably a good thing.
And just from the county's legal perspective, Charlie's been involved.
Yes.
And Brian Brim has also been involved because Brian has some affiliation or previous experience, I think, through the DeKalb system, actually, in watching that and how it was set up and so forth. We went to Southern Illinois a year ago to talk to Bill Young, who, just for informational purposes, has a 13-county public transit system. His is also a mass transit district. And from that perspective, we got some good insight as to what we would need to do to facilitate that transit to MTD. And so I think we also talked with RTAC, which is the Rural Transit Association Consortium or something. But basically, just a couple of individuals who have again, a historical presence with how to develop an MTD. So I think we're probably in good standing. We have the support initially of some members in Ogle County as well. We'd like to see it go in this direction. But additional conversations is what we would love to have.
So if we're able to move this forward, this will be the last budget
Yeah.
Of lots. or-
Well, I think these were executive when that second committee discussed it, pros and cons.
I haven't heard any comments.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
If there's a comment, somebody needs to stand up and talk about it, because I haven't heard about it. So.
We share employee too, right? We don't share employee anymore for maintenance or nothing, but
No, but we could,
We potentially could still do that type of arrangement.
and we're still hooked up to the high group with you guys.
Yes.
There'd be some relationships.
Yeah, there should be something we need to sit and go through some of that.
yeah, you guys can't just get rid of us.
It's not a complete divorce.
Max all that.
So legal separation.
Yeah, legal separation.
40, some
Cost of the children.
Yeah,
But if they spin off on their own, they're gonna need to get their own.
but like she said, it's not a complete divorce, it's legal separation.
All right, any other questions while we're here?
Gotta compliment these two.
Yeah.
They do a fine job.
From a $7 million budget to a $12 million budget. All through funding.
Yeah.
Trust us, Bob, we have those same thoughts that you do about when is this black hole gonna fall?
So you got $12 million budget with $50,000 of fares coming in.
Don't you wish you could do
Yeah,
that?
All we want to do is buy another snowplow.
I'm sorry, Tom, what?
Need a couple vehicles.
Thank you.
We might have some.
Thank you.
Okay, Terry, next up.
Not until they're, thank you.
I think you can
Terry's the next one up. And Terry, the next one here. No, Jim's on hold there.
No, just so long. As long as you guys are okay with it. Oh, he was there.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, this is.
Lover.
I'm gonna call him. I just couldn't find your email. Oh, I gotta go to the office. And then I'll.
Just working out that Jim did.
I told him I'll do it.
Rolled up. And so. Morning, Jerry.
I, yeah, we'll give it a minute. Well,
Well,
I've never had any issues getting it in with Shane, so if I send it to them today, they'll get it. Every year. What? I know. Thank you.
I said, let's get rolling. We're gonna be here till 2:00.
Thanks, Jerry, for coming in. We wanna go ahead and get going so keep. No. Looking forward to all day here. Yeah, okay, questions? Who met with Terry here?
I did.
Tom, you wanna go ahead and take it while I try to find the.
Yeah, Jerry, I'll let you, I mean, your budget is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I didn't change anything. I moved some money from one account to the other within one line item. But that was all.
And you're down 10,000 on your temporary part-time.
What is your level of staffing now? I mean, it's changing all the time.
It's just me, another full-time, and I have a part-time that comes in Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays afternoons.
Part of the contractual services.
That is my kennel person.
Yeah, everything's pretty flat when you look through there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are we at on building payments? How many years into it? Are we kind of,
5.
Five? How many you got?
You have 7 left after this year.
One thing come up in our conversation is the kennels that Terry's got in there, which came from the veterinary clinic.
Well, I bought those
Okay, but,
when we left River Ridge.
so they are older than 5 years old. There's broken hinges on them, she's got temporary or permanent repairs on that are not really good. There's rust on the bottom of them. We need to think about some new kennels, and we'd like to have an outside fenced area for an exercise yard. You know, not that there's thousands of dogs out there, but
Right.
in talking with her, they've got a real good relationship with Granny Rose as far as finding homes for dogs, and you haven't had to destroy a dog of any consequence in quite a while. I mean,
It's been a while,
but I
but
mean,
yeah.
But I mean, they're finding homes for good dogs, and able to locate it, which I think we all like to see happen rather than disposing of them.
Any prices on your kennels or anything at all?
I have information, I gotta take time and sort through what I'm kind of looking for as far as kennels.
We got together last week when we talked about this, and I asked her to reach out to Dave, and I would. Dave and I talked Thursday.
Yep.
Terry has since talked to Dave, and Greg is doing some pricing. Is that
Craig
correct?
Saunders was normally use a fencing contractor for this type of thing. And so Greg was gonna work with Terry and spec out what's needed.
Yeah.
We don't have figures yet. I did include it on the markup that I gave you for placeholders for new kennels. I guess we should say exercise yard as well, and then, the database.
Yeah, she had sent that to me, we're just looking for dollar amounts to drop in here to have some idea of whether you guys would want to do this.
I didn't know where to start as far as the kennels, as far as
But it shouldn't
asking
be
somebody to come and do this.
we shouldn't be looking at $100,000.
No.
It should be,
The outside stuff, maybe
I-
something.
That would be pretty fancy kennel.
I mean, I would think the $10,000 difference we got in your budget from last year to this year, in my mind, you probably cover more than what you're looking
I
at.
would hope so.
Yeah, that would be.
I'm very conservative, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm thinking.
So I don't remember on the cat tags, we have to do the cats, so we have to.
Well,
Let's hear about the cat.
You gotta bring back. But it's positive. I mean, you've got people coming in and buying them.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go out looking for them. I mean, there's the issues of,
Yes,
that go with it, but you're getting tag sales. Cause I asked the same question.
yeah, we are getting tag sales. The vet clinics, of course, you know, when they bring in, somebody brings in their cat, you know, they know that they have to be vaccinated now, so. And some people have vaccinated prior, just not having to get registration, so.
What's the tag cost for a cat?
$12 for 1 year altered, 24 for unaltered, 25 for 3 year altered, and 50 for unaltered.
Has that come in about what you thought there? Because I remember we talked about, you know, we
As far
thought
as
another
prices?
$4,000 or $5,000 coming in because of the cats or something. I can't remember.
You know, I'd have to
We
do-
talked about last year.
Yeah, I mean, this is my first year putting it all in.
Right.
So I'd have to go back, and I have been doing on my spreadsheet, I've been doing separately the cats and money wise, you know, on a spreadsheet. So I could go back and see what that is actually. I haven't really added it up yet, month by
Not
month.
a real big deal, but kind of a curiosity question.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, but it is a revenue stream, so.
Yeah.
It's helping pay the bills.
Yeah, but is a senior citizen or 65 a year free cat?
we have free cat, and if they have dogs, they get a free dog.
Yeah, one of each.
Yep.
Okay. I thought of that for I left it, I forgot to ask it.
Only question, looking at the numbers, and it's not really a question, but, on supplies, so far year to date, at 6 months, we spent $2,400. Should be $4,800 for the year, we got 35 of them, if that's enough for supplies or, we did.
I have 4,500.
And she's only used
Are you
1,500
looking
today.
at, are you
here in the
looking
long
at
column.
general fund, or are you looking at one of her other funds?
I got them split up here, there are other funds that.
Okay, you're looking at,
They're split up.
yes, so she has a section in the general fund that, and the suffix is 9.
Yeah, pet population, she raised it, looks good there, but then the other, animal control is where I thought, that between the two, you can make it work. I just was trying to figure out, you know,
No, she's got plenty of room and supplies in animal control.
yeah.
Yeah. I am on the, not the county, but the animal control, supply line item. That is gonna be in a negative because I bought a new computer. Mine, I was told, is like the oldest. That was back in December, that was 900.
So that's why that's up higher.
And that's up higher, and then I also had the doors in the entryways, the new walk-in doors, that was $890. And then I did have to get another livestock van because of the humidity and the dog, I just couldn't keep up with.
So those things all came out of which fund?
The 002-520-040. So the animal control supply.
That's why it's higher for the, but you know, in 19, that was $5,400, so. If you're up, comfortable with 3,500, they will break it.
Okay, but you have 1,000 in the general fund.
You know,
Why?
it always was confusing with animal control and what I'm called rabies. Now we're calling both of them animal control. And it's, I don't know, it's just confusing.
Whatever you guys want or names, I guess.
See,
Fine.
I got animal control, pet population, I know what you got.
Yeah, but then back in the general fund, she's got an animal control.
Okay.
So the reason I think I did that was moved 1,000 out of postage was because I haven't done reminders for 5 years. So I really didn't need that much in there. I do have to have enough in there to cover my lease. And I thought supplies, you know, there's a lot that usually comes out of supplies, so just in case, that's the only reason you can leave it if you want. Doesn't matter to me.
No, it's fine, I was
You're also looking for computer equipment.
Well, now you guys got me confused. Why are the numbers
I know.
different
One is like.
from general
Can you
to?
explain an
She's got a
operating?
budget sheet.
Because she's got three accounts.
She's got 3 different funds. She's got a section in the general fund. This is all, somebody can tell me why, because I don't know. And then there's one that's Fund 2, so that's in Fund 001, the general fund, and then there's
Okay.
Fund 002,
Right.
and then there's Fund 084.
So. you got-
084 is just that population,
Yeah, if you go
which
to,
I think has to be separate.
I think that has to be separate, but
And these are all, so when we look at her whole budget, we gotta look at all three
Yes.
sections.
Some of us, we don't do that, some of us.
It's just because it was way
Well, I don't
I know, and
know.
I don't like it.
agent of change. What were you doing about it?
We paid the
Well, I did think
salary
about
of one
moving
and the salary of the other.
everything out of the general fund into 002.
So,
and just transfer
Some of
the
my
money that
salary
takes.
is taken out of pet population
And there's a reason. we
Well, that
did
makes sense. So
to help cover
Well, because I'm not sure if there's
Administrative
a reason not to.
Because we could, and it was suggested, and it would
Yeah.
help out county general if we
Okay.
took some out of there, because that was one of those unfunded state mandates that still irritates me after all these
Yeah, don't get
years.
Judy started.
I wasn't listening.
That's okay.
I was trying to talk to Sheila and
That's all
just
right.
disrupting.
Yeah.
we went along smoothly, no, you're right.
We did? Yeah.
So could we combine this, instead of 3, could we get down to pet population and 1 other?
So I think so. I've done some research on the statutes as to what says what, but I haven't gotten through all of them. So my thought is that we could take everything in the general fund and move it into Fund 2, which is called animal control. And so all of our revenues are in there, all of our expenses are in there. Right now, I think in the general fund, she runs a $20,000, from what she brings in revenues, minus, it's about 20,000. So then you could just transfer some money from the general fund to make Fund 2 whole. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If we can statutorily do it, that it would probably be cleaner and give you a better idea of what it really costs to run animal control.
I think there's only one statute that says that certain monies have to go
Maybe
into,
that's got population.
no, in one of these other ones.
With the
Oh.
And I don't remember which one.
It went.
And it could be,
It went, it's been a long time since I looked at that, but it went way back. And a lot of it had to do with rabies going through a lot of your animal species, not just cats and dogs, which is what we are with now.
Which is why I think one of the funds, the one in county general, probably was the one that was called rabies. One of
It
these was
was.
called rabies and one was animal control.
Okay. Yeah, rabies is 001.
Yeah, okay, that
and
would be the
animal
county
control
general.
is 02.
Yes, it would, because it is confusing.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, now I'm used to it. Now that-
You're the only one.
No, I would marry him, I'm used to this.
Yeah, I've been at this one, I was with this one a long time. But which one are you getting your clothing out of?
Well, the only thing that is, getting paid, hold on, I'll tell you.
Yeah, because you have
It's the
shirts.
stitching. We buy our shirts.
Okay, because I thought for a while there with the, just while she was doing it, with the turnover in staff instead of all new shirts, I just thought maybe you just need some vests that anybody could put on over a t-shirt, a collared shirt, a turtleneck, and then- yeah.
But if they're buying their own clothing,
Yeah, if you're doing that part's, yeah. But for a while we
Did
didn't
you
want
get a chance to
to.
talk to the mayor Ramboy and talk to him about it?
I have left him a message after I talked to you and I have not heard anything.
He's talking about getting into an intergovernmental agreement with them for $4,000 or $5,000 a year to take care of their pet issues. So I think we can make
Did they
that.
lose, Cook's gone,
He's deceased, yeah,
they're not.
not that I know of.
No, he just.
No.
And I think that was before John even got me.
Yeah.
I think they
I think
decided
he's
that.
in contract with us and it's whatever they're paying.
I'm working on that.
No, I just wanted to ask you that, but that would help you too, I mean, that would carry across your family and stuff like that, so. All right, any questions, any more questions?
So, Paul, you're gonna talk to Charlie about,
Well, I was just looking
Just
at
the
my,
state
I mean, I can talk to Charlie, but I was just looking at my, statutory funds and it looks like I've got both of these. So Fund 2 comes out of 510 Illinois Compiled Statutes 5/1 and pet population is in a similar spot. Anything in yellow, I think I've already read. I gotta go back and read it again though.
I'll send you that when I get back, don't let me forget. I'll send you the statute that says what fund, yeah.
Yeah, and cause I think I've also pulled some I pulled some language, but it's gotta be read again. As to what all this stuff is for, and I don't think I have this in the same order, so. This I pulled out of the statutes but yeah, if you've got it,
well, there's a difference between having to be segregated and having to be in a specific area of
Yes, there
county
is.
general fund. And so, if there's been a change or if there's been a way that we can
simplify
congregate these
things.
things, let's get it done.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm-
good.
Every time
Everybody
you
else
do it-
okay with that? Because I've already got a couple other ones I'm gonna collapse through this whole software change.
Awesome.
Do you have any more questions for Gary?
I just wanna say on the database,
Oh, okay.
so I know Tom started, I think that's kind of my first goal because we've been noticing issues. I've been working with Mike a little bit on, different databases. And there's one that I really, really like. But I don't wanna pay a yearly fee if I can help it. So I've got a few databases to look at and to call them and ask what it would take. The one, it's called Shelter Pro, and it actually would do a lot more than in what we do manually. We could just do right in those owners' information. Right now, I have to put it like in a miscellaneous thing, and there's no way to cap that specific owner if we've had issues with them before. but there's been, I know when we talked last, they were gonna convert, well, that kind of costs a lot, and you're not gonna guarantee you're gonna convert everything, as we all know, not everything gets converted. So maybe a lesser amount of money that it would take to just start a new program and weed out the old program, the old database, and just start new with a new database, and eventually it will be moved over. Or new, so that's just something that we had talked about prior, and
When you're talking about how much money for a database or.
I have to, so I looked real quick in a price that I had gotten before, and like, Ogle County had the conversion done, and they, I don't know what the initial amount was, but they pay $16.50 a year. And I don't know, I just think that's not money.
You
So,
just need the three things in the capital budget though, the software you're talking about, the kennel upgrade and the fencing, right?
yes, ma'am. So that's where I'm going with it, I know I tried to do this, you know.
You wanna do it this fiscal year 2021, right?
Mike, how long do you think I can? Hopefully I wouldn't crash, I guess, I don't know.
Well, the sooner the better.
Yeah, the sooner the better, I
would
guess is what I'm.
Do it this year.
Yeah.
She's using, or, I mean, this coming year, but she's using an Access database that we built for her
Years ago.
a long time ago. And it's getting to the point where it's not supported, and it's, yeah, it probably doesn't conform to.
Well, Ogle County, they pay $16.50. Yeah.
Is there any,
1,600.
do you see any extra income coming from a better software?
I see more so,
Proprietary software is expensive.
that's what I'm looking for. Being able to, what I'm looking for, it would help us out more as far as seeing things better and not missing things. Does that make sense?
Strong
Yeah.
animals are probably.
Right. Yes, yes. And I think, I know there's a couple people, maybe a handful, that really still owes the county money from having their dogs or whatever, and I think having a amount in there that they still owe can be added to, okay, you're coming in to get your tag, now, you still owe so much from last time, so I think that would, be beneficial.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Wasn't that bad, was
No. I always think it's gonna be.
I think we have veterans, is Jim Gorman on, is he on Zoom?
He's still there.
There he is.
There he is. Good morning, Jim.
He's got us turned down or not.
Yeah, I'm trying to unmute him. He's gonna have to do it himself.
Can you hear me now?
There he goes.
Yeah, we got
There
you.
you go. Yep.
Okay.
Good morning, Jim.
Morning.
I met with Jim, or he was, I talked to him on the phone. I guess let's go ahead, Jim, anything you wanna share with us? Let's go ahead and start down through there and, talk to us about what we talked about yesterday, I guess.
Well, no, nothing on, the budget's okay and everything as far as, I can see. The only issue we had is last year we had to order a new computer, and we were told to hurry up and order it, by the end of October, I think, so it'd be on last year's budget. I finally got it, somewhere around, the end of February, first part of March, just before the virus hit and everything was shut down. through a bunch of emails, I found out that it had been in the building since probably the middle of December or so, but being used in one of the courtrooms because one of the courtroom computers broke or something, and they used mine until then. So that's really the only issue that we've had so far.
You're up and running now with it? It's working?
Yep, doing everything fine. Matter of fact, that's what I'm on right now is the laptop. So, yep.
Any questions for Jim on his budget? We cut his levy, I don't know, 2-3 years ago now, Jim, is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I know Judy called me and said that they were gonna cut the levy and borrow some of the surplus, which was no problem. And like I said yesterday, according to the statute, I think it's, we can have up to 2.5 years of budget in surplus. In other words, 2.5 years budget, which if it's 75,000 would be around 150,000. The printout that I got for cash on hand as of the 31st of May was $171,620. So, and I think a couple years ago when they did the levy adjustment, they did borrow some of that cash from our account to spread out across the other departments in the county.
At some point, we're gonna have to.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
It wasn't a borrowing, but it was just the levy.
Yeah, we
Yeah, just need to watch that balance.
Yeah, we
that's
just
all.
need to watch the balance of the levy, you know, we may not be here. Be a different committee next year, but yeah, I worry about that, coming back, because we did take from that fund, so.
Well, we didn't take from the fund, we took from the levy of the fund.
Yeah, basically, no,
But
They never had the money to give up.
I think 25,000, I think was, I'm just rounding a number, but I think that's. And we used it, sure, because we had such a surplus build up that, we were trying to.
Balance things out.
Yeah.
it would just be better to increase the levy gradually than wait till it was desperate and then have to do a big.
Yes, true, very true. Any questions for Jim?
Thanks for waiting for us.
Thank
Not
you.
a problem. I had a visitor, so.
You don't have anything for us, Jim?
No, just to let you know, that, along with the county and everything, of course, the VA has been basically closed down, since the middle of March. We took our last veteran to Iowa City on the 18th of March, and the VA all across the country shut down their transportation system on the 20th of March. So, pretty much we have not had any veterans going to Iowa City, although we have had some go to Madison and Hines and that were, the veterans that go to Madison or Hines, our drivers, use their own vehicles. So I have a couple that are comfortable taking them. They're not worried about anything, although they do make them wear masks, obviously, and the driver wears a mask while they're going. Back in June, we thought we would be up and running by the 1st of July. Well, that came and went. And then July 10th, I got an email from Iowa City saying that they thought the transportation would be starting the 1st of August. 1st of August has come and went. So now I'm hoping for the middle of September. So veterans aren't really missing their appointments because, like I said, the VA is only doing continual treatments like chemo and kidney dialysis and some diabetes stuff, MRIs and that. So the primary care part of the VA is pretty much shut down. Even the clinic over in Sterling, they're working with a skeleton crew, a receptionist. The lab is open, the caseworker is there, and then a nurse and a physician's assistant or one of the doctors is there. So, you know, it's not like the veterans aren't being taken care of. They are being taken care of, but just on a limited basis, like most of the doctors and hospitals in this area. So Back in March, 2014, there was, Veterans Choice was passed, which meant that veterans, if they needed to see a specialist outside of, closer than the hospitals, they could see them, and the VA would pay to see the specialist, and then they opened it up to colonoscopies and eye doctors and stuff like that. Well, back in January, both CGH and KSP did not renew the contract with the insurance company that was paying for that. So that kind of eliminated the guys in Lee County and from being able to go to like Lawless Eye Clinic and some rehab here and see the KSP and stuff like that. And I was just notified last week that they finally have signed a contract. So some of those services are coming back online. But other than that, that's about it.
Jim, this is Bob. I got a question. When's the last time you got a raise in your salary? Did you get one last year?
I think I got it last year, but it was approved. I didn't know the complete process and how I went about doing that. I thought if I put it in last year's budget, it was approved. Well, I found out that I think Paula told me that you have to go through Lori Miller and the VAC board, that I answer to also. Those are guys from the board is made up of veterans organizations. They approved it like in, I think,
We
2
paid
years
it back.
ago.
When it went through, you got your retro back to when because it was supposed to.
Yeah, I
be
did.
taken
I
effect.
did. Yeah, I did. So it's been about 2 years. And the board has not met because of the virus, because with
So
the VA,
we don't-
the VFA.
We don't decide that, his board does.
Oh, all right.
But then Lori needs to be notified,
It need- yeah.
otherwise it doesn't get into payroll.
Right.
Yep.
He just
I
told
just
me,
had to
and I didn't know that he, sorry. We
I didn't know
worked
if
on
it,
it.
like,
It was only like
couple hours.
750.
all right. But you did get your raise and you got paid up, correct?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yep, I did. I got the back pay in that. So
All right,
I just wasn't aware of the process.
sure, okay.
So if you want another raise, you're gonna have to go to your own board and.
I understand that. I understand that.
Any other questions?
I might give you a recommendation though.
But
I
thank you.
would recommend you do, so tell them to call us. So, all right.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you.
Okay. You all have a good day. Stay safe and healthy.
Thank you, you do the same.
He really is nice to work with.
Oh, unbelievably good guys. Open yesterday. Outstanding. All right. Do we want to go, do you want to break or do you want to keep going here?
Well, Mike's been sitting here patiently waiting for us all day.
Let's do it.
We've got Mike and Wendy left.
Bob, I'm gonna have to.
Okay.
We'll talk a little bit before that. All right. I had, unfortunately.
Everybody's doing that to us today.
Can I make a comment on that meeting? The one thing of note with her was, she's proposing a small amount for using contracted assessment of commercial properties. And I think that is a good idea. The question in my mind was it enough? Because I think the impact of keeping very current on commercial assessments is probably could impact the county either positively or negatively. So
You definitely want to be on top of it, either way.
that was the main thing of note of mine. So I just, for that.
Who left, Mike?
Clear 'em.
Okay.
And it was.
Where do you go?
Yeah.
Fortunate.
You come and never leaves.
Okay.
Well, I tell you, I'm almost feeling bad that I'm here all day.
Yeah.
You go get your
Yours
And
shows our level of importance, I
And
guess.
Dave's talking about leaving.
I'm just going to the other court.
You guys get.
All right, Mike, we're done.
Heavy side.
Okay.
I like to, well, Paul, you guys probably all have Paul's thing, right? So, usually can we do the, GIS recording fee?
Yep.
First, that's, 071 begins with. Okay, and is it okay if I sit here? Because I've got,
Yeah, you're fine.
I've got stuff I can share on the screen.
Okay.
So I'm joined in, so. So let me,
Not a good face.
what's that? Can't see, I can't hear, falling apart.
You're not that old yet, buddy. Just hang on, it gets worse.
He's sending his first kid off to college, so he thinks he's old.
You graduate, come home, get married and have kids, then you're getting old.
All right, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, there we go.
Make sure I got the right one. GIS recording?
Yep.
All right, so, let me get Paul this thing. So basically, the interest and income and the fees collected, recording fees, miscellaneous, which would equal about the 80, I'm sorry, it's not on that sheet, but your sheet should show the interest, the fees, recording fees, and miscellaneous. Okay, so those are basically fees collected, recording, we sell map data, things like that, miscellaneous. That's where the fees are collected for the 436927. That's primarily what that is. We also have a contractual agreement with City of Dixon. They pay for some $6,000 for aerials, as well as the 911 pays for aerials. And then we also do some work for the City of Dixon as far as making their maps and things like that. So it is a revenue stream. A couple years ago, we had to, with FOIA, Wendy had to could no longer charge for her data for banks and title companies, things like that. So we lost some revenue there. So we kind of picked things up and did a thing with the aerials and things like that for the fees. And then the recording fees are basically recording fees. Those are generated, title, refinance, whatever. And that data is given to me by Kathy. So I believe probably right about now, things are probably picking up because of all the refinancing. And then, so all of that combined creates this fund. So the salary officer, the FICA, insurance reimbursement, things like that, all come out of that fund. No county money comes out of that. So the more we have, the better, so we can self-sustain. We are looking at a couple of things to possibly generate more revenue. Again, working with City of Dixon, they are now on board. They're pasting water valves, main water valve, water shutoffs, things like that on their maps. They're loving it. They're really starting to use it now. Down the road, somewhat like Ogle County does with Oregon and Rochelle and whatnot, getting municipalities to come on board and Ashton, Amboy, things like that, build a layer for them and they can do the same thing. So that's something that we foresee coming down the pipe. Again, Ogle County has 3 or 4, I think 3 GIS people that do that. That's where I'd like to see us go somewhat. The other revenue stream would be is redoing our recording fees. Again, we get a small percentage. For life of me, I think it's $17 per Is that right, Wendy? Do you remember?
Yes,
So is it
actually, I think it's 18.
18?
But your fund gets 17, the clerk gets 1.
Yeah,
You're right.
so we're maybe doing some recalculations and seeing if we could generate, more revenue through that, testing what other counties are doing and whatnot. So hopefully that'll bring in a little bit more revenue, because we did in fact, pay for some aerials. And that support contract, the big one there is $73,310. That's the big one. That's where we pay the aerial fees every year. So that's the big jump. Everything else is pretty much stayed the same. My salary did come out of that years ago. It's been moved, but for Tom, my GIS technician, his FICA, his insurance and stuff do come out of that, and IMRF. So it's pays for the GIS person.
On my sheet here, my GIS sheet, I've got maintenance, 65,000. Is that up there? I don't see that.
Right here?
Oh, okay.
Did you increase?
Yep, okay.
Yeah, it increased because increase in support maintenance contracts at 43,000 per year with a 6-year contract.
Okay, so that's 73,310, okay.
Yeah, everything else pretty much the same. So I think we have, 25, 86, 15. So you're looking at 100 and some thousand in fees collected, versus about 139.
If I could interject just for a second here, Mike, since you asked me about the fee, we you and I informally talked about actually the GIS fee, the $18 or $17 in Mike's fund. We talked about it's been that way for quite some time, and that is one of the fees that can be viewed, and if we can support it, we can increase that fee. And as Mike and I talked about informally last year, now with the aerial photography that we're paying for every year, increasing our annual cost, that is definitely something that I think would be prudent to do, is to re-examine that fee and bump it up a little bit and help cover the additional cost annually of that aerial photography. Years ago, we would do the aerial photography out of capital, one-time expense. Now we're expending that out over each year and spreading it out. But that helps us then support the additional cost in the GIS fund, which helps us support an increase in that fee. And again, that's a recording fee for people who record documents that would pay that fee. So just a thought, something to be thinking about. I think Mike and I had kind of informally talked about it. It's probably something that should be pursued.
And like I said, we did, wasn't a lot, but I think it was around 13,000 that we lost for the title companies that we, and it's been a couple of years, but everything now is online, free of charge. I mean, they can get their tax bills and everything's online free now. So they are getting quite a bit of information. I think there's a couple counties that are still charging.
There are. Old County is one of them.
Yeah, so everything we're doing now is giving them for free. So as Wendy said, we can do a GIS recording fee study. Tom would look at surrounding counties, see what they're paying. I think it's been at least 5 years since we've looked
Yeah,
at
it's been
that.
at least 5 years. I do think that's something that probably needs to be done. Now that we've annualized that, the aerial photography costs.
Yeah, and that fee from the Dixon ETSB is $6,000, and that's per year. And then from City of Dixon gives us $20,000 a year. So, any questions on the recording side of things?
What is that fee, like Wendy? The fee on the recording fee, just out of curiosity. what's
How
that?
much is it?
Yeah, how much is it?
It's $18 per recorded document.
17 goes to Mike and 1 stays with the clerk.
Does anybody know, are we out of line or are we
think
within range of other
Because we
counties?
haven't raised it in at least 5 years, I think we're starting to fall behind a little bit. But again, that would be part of the study that would be done, is to look and see what surrounding counties are doing. That's what Mike said, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about it, give or take $1, $2 is usually usual bump is about $1 or
And if
so.
you offer Kathy a little more, she'll be even more.
Yeah, yeah, take 20 and each $1.
So we good on the,
I think so. And then your general fund is number,
Just a general question, because I haven't asked it before, but, and it's not just on his, but on the insurance. Did, Lori, she didn't have the new insurance cost for finance. Did she give that out to department heads? Because that's gotta be low on all of these budgets. Because it looks like they're all this,
yeah.
this one, you went up a little bit, but some of the others left it the same, and that can't be right.
I don't think she's got it out. Yeah, I'm not sure, but.
Because if she said, if you were talking 8%, we didn't really hear it, give a number, but that's gonna increase all these budgets. So just a thought. Okay, sorry, Mike.
Oh, no, you're fine. Okay, so basically then in the budget request form that Paula has, you got the two top line items for the officer and salary other. Longevity is nothing this year. Pretty much, if you look, I always keep a running tab of where I'm at with my budget. I'm $5,000 over, or not over, $5,000, requesting $5,000 more this year. And basically that's all going to our email. Again, as I mentioned in previous, our email is pretty essential, and Microsoft is saying, hey, we're not gonna support you anymore, so you gotta go to the next level. So primarily that's where my 5,000 increase is. Everything else is pretty much.
Do you guys have that? I don't have that.
Yeah,
Under, you looking at general?
furniture and equipment, you came from 10 to 1 though, right?
It should be under programming, right?
Yes, but I mean, you've got a reduction on
Reduction where?
furniture and equipment.
10,000 down to 1,000, Mike.
Should be 10,000.
It's a
see,
typo.
these numbers don't match what you've got up there.
Because the budget's showing you down
Yeah.
a couple $1,000s on the sheet here.
No, I got
Well,
line item 510030. Furniture and equipment, 10,000.
it's coming in at 1,000.
Or maybe it's zero.
That's because it was an error, and if you look at my correction sheet, it was supposed to be 2,000
Okay.
So it's supposed to be what?
to 10,000. This particular thing right here,
Oh,
all of the changes from you guys, from the paper copy that you have, these are all the changes that have been made.
okay.
Sorry, I tried to clarify that earlier as to what the point of this was. And one of those changes is a $9,000 change to his, because I put it in wrong the first time, zero.
No, that's fine, Paul, we just have more sheets to look at. Go back, reference it, sorry. I know, that's why I
That's why I was trying to throw some stuff up here,
just trying to clarify.
because this is a moving target.
Yeah, and I realize that, but
Okay.
And I can reprint everything every time, but I don't know how many trees you want me to go.
I like it. Thank you for that. I just didn't get it.
So good there. So going just.
So you gotta add 9,000, hold on, Mike, so you add $9,000 onto the 198,244.
Yes.
Does that match what he's got up there then?
then it matches. No, not quite.
Is that enough on website?
Which brings us to 207,244 at the bottom.
There must be another change in here.
Did she put IMRF or did you put any IMRF on there?
Not on the general funds. It's right here.
And I can't see right there from here.
I figured it probably wasn't gonna work.
Well, just make that bigger, Paul. Just zoom in a little bit. Know where that's at. There you go.
Hey,
Now,
How to fit it all in, huh? Where you at? Okay.
There.
Okay, 65136 102918. Yeah, she's got employer health insurance in there.
Oh, I might have changed that some.
Yeah, see the insurance is 18, mine's 17, 6.
I don't know what was on your original one.
I don't know what that is, so I didn't put any in there. You put that.
Oh,
in
you
for me.
didn't put any.
No,
Well,
It was, the year before was 17,640.
right. I just left that the same. That's why my number's off, 206.
Oh, yeah, I probably didn't like your number and thought it was probably too low. Or too high.
I didn't give you one because I didn't.
Oh, you left it out,
I
yeah.
left it blank,
Yeah.
just like.
Asterisk by the internet website.
That's because I thought maybe it might be too low.
That's what I thought too. I thought it was gonna be an increased cost.
Last year we had 18,000 we spent, this year we've already spent 9,000.
It's 3,000 a year for maintaining it,
Okay,
and then we pay 6,000 for internet.
okay, all right, that's fine then. I just wanted to
No.
make sure that we had enough in there.
I think they did our new, did they redesign it or something that year?
Yeah, and that's, yep,
That's fine.
yep.
It just was a question,
No, I appreciate, no, absolutely.
Okay, but what else has changed from what we had originally?
So see,
Because I add the 9,
It's 207, 244.
240. Okay,
18,000.
okay, I was not reading, not,
I think,
looking at the 244, I was just,
yeah, we're
good.
Yeah, so what I like to do is as you see there, I break them down into what each thing does. So, and then I put highlights on them. So our DevNet contract, which is our taxes, is a big one. It's 46,144. That's per year. And then there's your increase, 15,000, was 10, now it's 15. And then pay for Microsoft licensing and stuff like that. So that's where that big one is the 65,144.
What fund do you have if you buy computers and stuff, or where does that come out of?
That comes out of furniture and equipment of 10,000.
And some of them do it out of their own budgets and then
right.
That's
you
what
just
I
order
guess I was
it.
asking.
Right,
Like
so,
like our server stuff, maybe we're down, do we need to get?
well, I've got a question for you on that, but typically then, new computer equipment like switches, file servers, networking equipment comes out of that. So it is pretty low, it's 10,000, but new servers, 2,000 to 3,000 per.
I worry with this new phone system, but I know we can tie that cost to the phone system too, but there might be
Right.
something you're gonna have.
Well, when we do the network upgrades, all the switches will be new, so that'll be part of it, so that'll be good. But again, none of I don't buy departments' computers. Those are all segregated to whatever, so, but that's the big one there on the, 65 and the furniture and equipment. Obviously, the maintenance would be buying a new hard drive or something. If somebody's computer does fail and the hard drive fails, I take out of that. Again, and then some like Circuit Clerk have their own funds where they buy computers, things like that. Wendy has a used once a year type computer and it rotates, things like that. So that's where everything sits now. I do have a question on the server. And then I don't know if you wanted to talk about capital or what were those things I submitted, Paula, for the computers? And then the other request that I would like to bring forward is a request for another IT person. So I know you guys are pressed for time. I'm not sure how you want to handle it or.
Capital, what do you have for capital? What do you?
I didn't print that one out.
Okay.
So the only thing last year I brought you guys,
I know, she does that a lot.
What am I'm ignoring you? What'd you say?
very long.
Oh, sorry.
You can wait.
Okay, so right here, he's got
Yeah.
some computers, and then you had put something down for an old courthouse generator,
So,
but you didn't have a dollar amount.
I thought I put like, didn't I put like 10 or 15, something like that? So, let me see. Was that a separate sheet?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me try this.
No, you do have 15,000 on here. No idea on cost, 10 to 15.
Yeah.
Okay,
Which, is that your generator or the computers? The generator?
generator. So just put it in there.
I'll put it up there too. So, we had talked last year about computers, Windows 7 computers coming in and trying to get Windows 10 updated, because they're no longer supported by Microsoft. They're no longer supported by Microsoft, but they're no longer supported by other software and things like that. The FBI is now saying you got to start getting rid of these because of the potential outbreaks and things like that. So I didn't know where we stood or what you wanted to do. Again, some departments do a good job of rotating, some not so much. Some have money, some don't. So I rounded and I put 30,000, which would be 50 computers at $600 a piece, which would be 30,000. I rounded with 50 because, excuse me, like, let's say Public Defender has 3 people, they all need their new ones, they don't have a line item for theirs. Excuse me, and then some people are starting to buy towards the end of this year, some people are starting to buy some, and you know, so that 50 is just kind of a ballpark figure because again, the people are starting to buy those, but at some point, we need to either put it in each offices or departments line item or do a mass purchase. So,
Okay.
You know, in my way of thinking, we need some consistency. You know, if you're doing the ordering on all the computers anyway, correct?
Yeah.
So,
and don't get me wrong, the departments actually contact,
yeah,
the money comes out, but they'll contact me, what do we need? And then we, you know, hey, you need this, and you know, and then we get a quote and give it back and say, you want to buy, and they say yes. Everything goes through us, so they do a good job on that. It's just the money.
you know, if it's a general fund purchase, it doesn't matter if it's here or in their department.
Right.
If it's a specialized fund, it's a whole different ballgame.
That's why I like it in each one, because then you know where it's coming from.
For the specialized, but are there any,
But if I have both funds, and if county's gonna pay for it, and then I don't have to put it in my budget, why would I?
Mm-hmm.
At either fund.
Yeah, and I know it's tough because like Public Defender has 3 that they would need, and then you got Circuit Clerk who has to pay for all the judges and the courtrooms and things like that. So I just wanted you guys to be aware that we need updates faster than.
So these 50 computers would not necessarily come out of the general budget? I mean,
Nope.
a lot of them could be coming out of departments, or I mean, capital.
They would come out, I've just proposed coming out of capital because I don't know if, you know, I'm throwing 50 out there. Like I said, Public Defender needs 3.
Okay.
Because I think they normally come out of capital.
Most of them are not gonna have the money. There's some funds.
Right.
Like I have an automation fund that I can take mine out of, that's fees that are collected through the real estate tax process. Denise has some money that she collects as fees on various fines that she collects. So that gives like us a little bit of money, I've never had it in the general fund, so I have to take it out of there, and I can take it out of there. But most departments don't have that.
Right, but that's to Marilyn's point. If we say 50 computers we're gonna buy, that money's still sitting in your account, that money's still sitting in the police account. And don't take that wrong, but that money could have been spent for computers.
Yes,
I'm just trying to see if this number is something that we could
yes,
Could you
reduce down.
study that?
Yeah.
Give us
right.
I can,
better, you know.
Yeah.
You have to know which ones they're for and.
But you know that.
I know, well, like I said, our rotation's been, I just threw 50 out there, yes. we could.
but you know which departments have money, which ones don't.
Oh, no, I don't know,
Well, you know who buys them and who doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
Well, no, because they may have a line item for them, but it still comes out of capital.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Still comes out of county general.
Or county, sorry, yeah, sorry.
Like in my case, I have a line item to buy one, but it's coming out of county general anyway, so you're not gonna save anything in county general, in my case, even though I
I
have.
just try to not double dip the money.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, that's why I like.
Not that the money be gone, but, you know.
My thought process, we had a pool of money and we can reduce it by whatever, but prioritize or I don't know, but
That's why I asked you earlier, where your money comes from for the computers, and I see what he's trying to do here, right?
yeah,
We obviously need them, so.
Yeah.
If
It's
nothing
some-
else right now, it's a placeholder in the budget, but
Yeah.
like you said, we wanna make sure that placeholder in the budget is accurate for county general versus something else. I just think when you're looking at what it costs to run each office, so if an office needs 2 computers or if they need 13, if there's a line item in their own department budgets, then you have it somewhere, either in the fund or the budget, then you've got a better cost of what it's cost to run that count. And that's kind of why we took out the FICA and the health, because a lot of these bennies were costing money that the departments had no clue
I
about.
didn't understand it. The IT department is definitely gonna grow, especially with new phone systems and new thing. My question is, which is gonna segue into his next, he wants to hire another employee, but, you know, we get 50 employees, we'll never get them up and going, or 50 computers.
We might not get the employees up and going.
Yes.
well, you factor in, we have approximately, I'm gonna ballpark about 200 computers totally. And again, I threw a number out there because we need to start replacing here and there. Our typical lifespan, 3 to 5 years. Some of them are pushing probably 7, 8. And those can't be just put Windows 10 on and go, unfortunately. But like, you know, your public computers, things that are outside of power user, we shuffle them and give them the new ones and then try to, depending, but I can come up, if we just want to place a number there, I can come up with maybe more departmentalized where computers are. And last year I had given those to department heads so they knew where they were. I could still do that and then we can kind of see where each department goes or has money-wise.
Do you have something budgeted for backup systems? Backing up like the servers and all that kind of stuff?
No.
We've gotta put something in there for that.
Well.
I'm never living through that again. It's not gonna happen. All you are,
Well,
I will
don't-
buy it, we're back cloud system,
Well,
whatever.
don't forget, we bought the new server, so we're buying a new one. We do have a backup server over in the other building, that big one. And once we get the fiber connected between the 2 buildings, then we are allowed to do that backup to a device. Yeah.
But right now, we don't have anything, this stuff all backed up.
Oh, yeah, no, it's backed up. There's a device here. It's just not that big one we bought over there. No, we're backing up.
Okay,
But we were backed up to the same server. So when it went
No,
down,
no, it was backed up to another server. It gets backed up into another server. Yeah, your data's backed up on your server and then it's backed up to another server that's here.
okay.
So what about, you know, we talked about before about an off-site backup, server,
Yep.
like Rochelle's got a place
Yep.
out there.
Yep.
You know, we have the health department over there that we don't even know who backs that up. Do you?
The health department's not us.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But so, you know, we got the need for some of this to be backed up somewhere, whether
Right.
we back up them, they back up us, or.
Oh, yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, again, once we get that fiber connection flowing like we're supposed to, then we could actually put a device out at the LEC. That's our game plan.
Yeah, okay.
Because with all the new fiber coming in, there's redundancy now. So everything's getting backed up. No, I don't want you guys thinking nothing's getting backed up. We do have backup devices in each building. It's just that we can't pipe data across this wireless until we get that fiber.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's, keep going on to your employee, you wanna,
Well, and I do want to, the generator part, I do want to focus on that a little bit. We're going to be putting in a new fiber connection in this building, hopefully, and pretty soon. Right now, I have UPSs that 5-10 minutes tops. When our power goes off, 5-10 minutes, those servers go down. When they go down hard, meaning not gracefully shut down, things like the DevNet server happen. You can't just power and pull the plug. We've got $50,000 to $75,000 worth of equipment in that room. And I've got UPSs on everything, but UPSs can only do 5-10 minutes tops. I threw a number out there. I have no idea if that number is even feasible, but we do have to look at something for
if you just kept that for your computer system and your phone lines, that number would probably work, but if you're looking for the whole building, you're talking 50.
Yeah, I don't think we need them. I mean, no.
No, the critical is the computer
Just to make
server.
sure
Yeah.
that we don't crash all our equipment.
Yeah.
Correct, because the last
Right.
couple months or so, that server went down probably 3 times hard.
That's something to talk to Dave about, have him investigate that, try to get a number or something. like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, again, I just threw it because that room's, can't be losing that stuff.
Okay.
So is there any kind of decision on the computers?
Nothing yet, I think
This
we're,
discussion?
yeah.
At this point, we're just gathering data.
I'll come back with maybe a fine-tuned sheet of what departments have what in inventory for you.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice.
Yeah. It's,
I know what I have, I don't know how old it is.
yeah, I had one from last year, so it's been obviously changed. What was the other thing? So we were doing that, and then play, but what was the other, capital, play, the other one?
The computers, generator, and employee were the 3 things I thought you wanted.
We got too many things. And then also then I do have the DevNet server where to take that out of.
What now?
The tax server.
Yeah.
Do I still take that? That was the
That was
9,
the emergency purchase.
yes, it was
I
9,038.
I think I came up with the money for that. And I said I would contribute, if I've got money left by the end of the year, I'd certainly contribute to that as well.
I was gonna take it out of I was gonna rearrange some stuff, and
Okay. Both of them,
I
you're
think
gonna,
I took it out of my automation.
you're able to do both? This one and the accounting one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wendy has some left over, I don't mean to.
Again,
Do I
mine's
hear-
gonna be county general, so it's gonna have less impact than Paula taking it out of one of her funds, but I'm happy to contribute, let's put it that way.
I
paid my taxes, that helped a lot.
Let's take it out of Tom's taxes.
Yeah, I gotta go back to all my notes, but
I know you mentioned it, but now that you're getting
no,
the,
I have money for both.
Okay.
I'm gonna find the money for both.
okay, so look you up for the,
Just look in a drawer somewhere and find some extra money.
I'll get with you for a number. Is that okay? Okay. And just an FYI on that, we did buy the DevNet server and it is in the building and they're working on it. We wanted to wait till after taxes, the big date next week, before we went live with it. So once we go live with that, we'll have the DevNet tax server, and then we also are purchasing the accounting server. We matched that server to match this one, so that if one went down, we could copy the database over to the other one and be right back up and running. That's the game plan. So even though they're in both the same building, but if one should fail, the other one will pick it up and go. So just an FYI. All right. Apologize, let me get my, I printed stuff out, but I didn't want to give it all to you guys and waste paper, so I thought maybe I'd throw it up here for you guys. So bear with me. I know you guys are scrunched for time, so I'll try to keep it brief. I can find my screen share here. All right, so basically, I'm coming to you. I did some research. I've contacted Whiteside County to kind of get a ballpark of what their things are. As you know, lately, IT has just expanded so much. We're just overwhelmed. I've drawn up some things there. I won't go over everything, but currently the IT response expectation and reliance on IT has increased dramatically. And currently we're in react mode, basically. Every day we get further behind with more projects demand. Equipment technology is old and antiquated. As you'll read on, everything that we've done in the last couple months, we're 24/7. Although we don't get called a lot, but we do get called on the weekend, and we do get called at night. I have to handle 911. I have to handle the deputies, things like that. Again, not a lot, but some of them are more gracious and can wait till the next day. But I am 24/7, and our department is 24/7. During COVID, we were here every day. We had no breaks. We were here every day, and we were here working, trying to get the Zoom meetings set up, video conferencing, things like that. The demands are there, and the expectations are there, and unfortunately, we can't keep up. We can't be in 3 places at once, 4 places at once. I'm here doing the Zoom meetings. Zach's over there trying to get things done. I've got 3 weeks vacation that I have to use by the end of this year. I've only taken a week. I need some time off. And with me being gone, that leaves Zach. Tom, my GIS person, has offered to pick up some of the slack with the Zoom meetings and whatnot. He is working with the city of Dixon on their project, so I'm trying to leave him with that because they're right into that project right now. And if it's generating revenue, I'd like to keep that money coming in, but I can pull him away from that project if need be. But basically, again, I've checked with Whiteside County. They have 3 full-time IT and a part-time. That doesn't include GIS. The last 5 years, we've got new clerk, circuit clerk judicial. We've done Zoom meetings. Since August 17th, we've done up until next week. I mean, we're talking about 6 to 8 meetings. I come in for zoning, our department comes in. The court systems now got video arraignment, video conferencing. I can assure you the bailiffs do not want to be called all the time. And when something goes down, our expectations is to be there. And they use it every day. It's more and more use. The bailiffs are being called to help, but I can assure you they're not equipped to handle all the calls. The new LEC, it did expand with more computers and people and devices. The new EOC that we're proposing, 20 tablets for the deputies. That's some of the things we've added. Security cameras, old courthouse, highway department wants security cameras, and cybersecurity. I get 3 to 5 emails a day on cybersecurity for election. That's hit a lot of people, and they're expecting you to do a lot of different things that we can't afford to do right now just because it's the time constraint. So new projects coming up, new counting server, the tax server, the public safety software starts in September. That's going to take at least 1 or 2 of us to be there. And then the proposed phone project. those are some things that are coming up. And then if you look over here on the right-hand side, the highway department starting all the way down, these are projects and tasks that we're currently doing right now or will be doing. Installing computers, things like that. It's not a take it out of the box and install it. It's take it out of the box, join it, add the Windows updates, do this, do that. It's a day and a half, getting with the person to substitute things. And again, the expectations is where's my computer?
I think, Mike, we're all here, this IT has grown, we're gonna have to do something different the way we're going, it's just how we move forward is what we're all wanna know.
Well,
if we restructure our 3 employees, or if we have 4, or what's best, I guess the best approach.
So as I said, current IT, we're reacting to fires and things like that. I don't know if we'll ever get out of that mode, but my preference is a proactive approach. And in talking with Judy and Bob about the staff, if we could hire some type of entry-level position that can come in and do these installs and get us up, get those things going. That'll allow our current level to move up and get the servers, updated, making sure they're done. So there'll be more cross-training, things like that. Better rotation for vacation. Right now, we've only got 1. And again, Tom is willing. I will pull him off if need be. But keep in mind, Tom is not IT. He can install computers, but when you get to the switches and the servers and things like that, that's not his expertise.
Is that GIS that he does, that's full-time, he does, or whatever?
He does that with GIS mapping, and then, like I said, with the City of Dixon and aerials and stuff. Then he also does the connection between the DevNet server and the PAM server.
Does
Stuff
he
you don't
have
see.
an office in this building, or?
Yeah, he's in my office.
And that's a 40-hour thing for him, I mean, he's.
Yes.
Okay.
And like I said,
Behind.
I can pull them off to do some of these
Yeah.
installs. It's just that the City of Dixon is utilizing their stuff. I can pull them off and do that. But again, moving forward, that would be a temporary fix. If we're planning on doing Zoom meetings and stuff now for the future.
This is gonna change everything. Virus.
And we started talking about it before, that you're gonna need help, I mean, it's.
Yeah, and that's where I'm coming from, guys. I looked at Whiteside County again. Whether the same size, I don't know. But they're a staff of 3 full-time and 1 part-time. Their budget is $540,000 a year. Mine's $202,000 or something like that.
Their population is about 20,000 more than Lee County.
Yeah,
And they got 2 course buildings. But I agree, I'm not arguing your point. When I met with the judges in the state's attorney's office, they want somebody designated over there, full-time, 1,000%. With these new video arraignment systems and this new phone system, they're scared
Yeah,
how it's gonna work. So, I mean, that's gonna tie up one whole employee. So I don't know how I think it goes back to your committee or something, to decide on one structure.
Well,
Can you hire somebody at entry level, county entry level salary, Mike?
so that's what we did. Let me get to it real quick. I've got another sheet.
I know, but yeah.
I'm waiting.
Yeah.
Did you get my text message?
So
It was like, almost like.
So the entry level is 32 to 37. Okay, so people are saying, well, is that enough? Or are you gonna get the right person? So I answer with this, yes, because what we're looking for is a body. We're looking for somebody that's gonna install computers, that can troubleshoot, that can be there to answer questions. That person is in that range. Because you look at the next level of the network or the servers, that can be done by what I have already right now. He's at that level to be able to maintain the servers and to update them and things like that. The next level is where the network switches and your configure. I outsource that because that level is an expert that does that. That would be when the phone systems come in and we're doing the network upgrade. That's part of our network upgrade. That's an expert that does strictly that. You're talking a guy that's probably $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 guy. So we outsource that guy. So an entry-level position would come in and do the installs, do the things like that. But not only that, they can progress and actually get to that network level, cross-train and things like that.
Well, I just wanted, when we're looking at adding another employee, are we adding, from my perspective,
Right.
Are we adding a $50,000 person? We adding a $75,000?
Yeah, this is where I feel comfortable with that. Again, you're looking at a person that's coming in and can do computer installs. There's so much potential that they have that they can be doing, what they can work on, security cameras, the deputies' tablets. There's so much that diversity that they can be doing. And the benefits of having IMRF and of county insurance. I do have a possible applicant that would be probably interested in something like this. And they're in school or entering school. So, again, I know there's been some negativity on my department. I've tried to keep my budget intact the last couple of years. If you look at my budget, I have not gone extreme on anything. Now, yeah, it shows now because the servers are aging and whatnot, but there was a balance I tried to keep.
Yeah, you didn't know that.
So there's the costs. I feel comfortable again with that entry level type of position. It will give us a person, the judges and they want somebody there 100%. I mean, it's kind of hard to put a person over there for 100% of the time.
Well, I'm just being honest with you, they're gonna contract it out otherwise. They told me that when I met with them. And I'm like, then you got a security reason, you got.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys, but that question is.
That they're the top of the food chain and.
Can they do that? That's what I know.
But if you're telling me, if you're telling me that I'm gonna hire this person and then that person's gonna go straight to them and be only over there, I don't get any real benefit because I still have animal control, highway department, LEC.
Well, with their video agreement is what they're talking about. They got real time. They got.
But if you're talking entry level that sets up computers, that isn't gonna be the person that the judges want.
I can't see the judges needing an expert. Because, I mean, no offense, but people are Zooming and they're not really an expert to Zoom. That's all they're really doing is Zoom.
Okay.
I'm not trying to downgrade but my question is that if you're saying they're gonna contract out.
Well, they put money in their budget for IT or whatever. State attorney did 10,000, judges did 10,000, and somebody else they talked to.
So would that person be strictly under them?
That's what they want, yeah.
And that would be a full-time benefits and everything?
No, they're putting either money together to hire somebody to take care of them, or they want to.
So.
Well, this department, or this committee has to approve that.
Well, I totally get that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, when I went to talk to them, that's what they said.
That's what they want, yeah.
I understand how it works, I'm just telling you what they said to me.
Well, in my defense, if they're wanting, I can't afford to dedicate one person for just them. I can't do it realistically, with my budget and where I'm at.
So
I don't know.
Well,
seriously,
let's
couldn't-
put your budget out of the picture here right now, because I think the need is definite, that we need some changes, improvements in your staff.
I would, yes, it would help me tremendously, but
You know, it's how we approach it. That's the question.
Yeah, we gotta do something, add to the budget, whatever, I wasn't, beating you up on budget, but I've done it needs, and this is gonna grow, continue to grow, like you said.
well, you heard heating and cooling.
Yeah,
That's,
That's all relying on.
everything at the LEC, not that we do it, but the water, the heating, the cooling, all comes through the computers now. But,
Let's, we got that, we got the computers.
We're gonna keep moving here, but we definitely got a hurdle we gotta get over.
We gotta address it, so we'll figure out this plan, I guess.
Right. Thanks, Mike, for all the input of getting this together for us.
No problem.
So for the minutes, what amount for the salary do you wanna use, or do I put one in there? Or-
You don't need, like I said, we discussed,
Okay, so that he brought the
two
three.
position, IT position.
Alright, I didn't know,
We'll sit down and sort it out throughout the next 50 days. Before we get budget.
cause I'm trying to workshop this in my mind, to see what it looks like in a minute.
Paul, are you updating the sheet?
Yes, I am. Well,
And it's not going in the direction we want that
I
sheet
might
to
go
go.
that way now.
so I have not yet put it.
And I'm not blaming you,
on there.
Mike.
No,
I understand.
it's reality.
It's just that this committee's gotta deal with this. So.
Yes. I haven't put anything on there for this yet.
Yeah, Becky, just my input, I'd be kind of careful about what putting amounts down, because if people read that and think that's what it is, and then it gets changed.
So I can be vague, just as long as the request is
Just do it,
correct.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just request.
Sometimes the bigger
Just-
the better.
Okay.
request is
I can be very vague.
Made a request for, just not a.
You don't need to, because we discussed IT position.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
They all couldn't come to no conclusion, so therefore we, gonna look at it later.
To be determined.
Wendy,
I'll go really fast, guys, I promise.
Okay, I'm not walking out because of you, I'm walking out. I gotta go.
you want a 2-minute break?
Yeah, can we take a 2-minute break?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Everybody move it, move it, move it.
I know, you do not have
Can I have a
enough.
2-minute?
Yes, you may, my dear.
I know you don't have enough paper.
Yeah.
It's not a good social distancing thing, was it?
Jim, I'm sorry.
Oh. I don't know if you all can hear it, but my stomach is growling. Mine too. Where are we going for lunch after this?
Anywhere that has food.
And then we'll serve it.
Preferably cooked. As opposed to the grocery store, they have food, but it's not good.
Well, I did evening breakfast this morning, since I never eat before when I have an early morning or morning dental appointment, I never eat. So, yeah, I'm with you, I'm growling.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make this quick and painless. We've already lost a couple members I see, they're dropping like flies around here. I obviously had gotten hold of the wrong list of who was meeting when, because
Oh.
I had one where John Nicholson was before me. That's why I came up at 11:30. I knew you were running late, but I thought John Nicholson isn't important. I'll just go first. And it's not John Nicholson, it was Mike.
Oh.
I got an old list.
I probably, well, yeah.
You probably sent the updated one, Paul, but I just pulled up one that was from an older email and I just got the wrong one, so.
Right.
But I figured, John Nicholson's budget wouldn't take long. I'd just come up here and butt in.
Did Wendy hand out something more?
I did. Did I leave one on your desk, Marilyn?
I don't see one.
Well, dang it. It's because Becky said leave one for me and I did, and then I skipped you.
You never find
Thank you, sorry.
that first day. You know?
No,
Wait till you read those
I
big
think
minutes.
tomorrow snacks will be over.
We won't know we were here, huh? That's big enough.
Go ahead, don't wait for me.
Alrighty, so what I handed out is not, it's budget related, but it's a different format than what you got from Paula on my budget. I am choosing to focus, because it's the one thing that changes my budget from year to year. I am choosing to focus on the township assessment work that we do for the various jurisdictions. So to cut to the chase, we have one proposed change going forward in that May Sublette Township. If you remember, about 3 years ago, the township assessor in that jurisdiction passed away. Lee County stepped up and did it 1 year. They continued to beat the bushes finding somebody. They eventually contracted with somebody to do the job, but it was a short-term arrangement, not a long-term arrangement. And so here we are 2 years later, 3 years later, and I believe May and Sublette may be coming back to the county. If that happens, what you see down below is all the proposed expenses for, again, providing the service for the townships to do that assessment work in lieu of them having their own township assessor. And the one thing that I am proposing changing, if, and I want to be clear, if May Sublette comes on board and we have the additional revenue stream with them, I am proposing that we take that additional revenue stream and allocate it towards allowing me to contract with a commercial property appraiser, as in somebody who has a license in the state of Illinois. I'm hoping you may have heard me talk last fall, you may remember hearing me talk, we're starting to get hit on the commercial stuff. Because quite frankly, that's always fell under my umbrella, and the more township work we take on, the less time I have to do the commercial stuff. Therefore, a lot of the commercial industrial sits there and is stagnant until eventually the industry comes forward like Raflatac did last year, and they're asking for a 2/3 reduction in their assessment. We didn't end up settling there, quite frankly. There's always, another side of that perspective, but bottom line is the commercial industrial stuff is not getting the consistent every 4-year review that it should and deserves, and I would love to be able to allocate some of this revenue from the townships coming in to do that. To be clear, I am not suggesting that this person would only do work for the townships that we're doing work for, but rather allow me to say, go out and look at all the Casey stores, or all the grain elevators, or all the industrial parks south of Dixon, or whatever group of property needs to be reviewed and revalued. A real quick example I gave to Dave Bowers when he came in is the Arby's, the new Arby's out there. They purchased that land for $1.5 million. It is less than an acre. $1.5 million. I do not have land values anywhere near that, nor will I, by the way, because one sale doesn't make a market. But land values in that area have got to be reviewed and increased, and I need time to allocate to that, and I don't have time.
Bottom line is, that's what I'm proposing. Other than that, my budget is fairly stable. In other words, I didn't make a lot of changes. The only changes that I made relate to the work I do with the township assessors, or one other thing I'll point out, which changes year to year, is my publishing costs. Next year, we have to publish every parcel in Dixon and Palmyra Township. That's the general reassessment townships next year. And of course, that's the largest parcel count of anywhere in the county, so the cost of publishing goes up. Generally speaking, those are the only changes I'm proposing. My budget for fiscal year 20 was $306,000. My budget for fiscal year 21, would be at $305,000. That takes into account, by the way, revenue coming in and expenses going out. So I'm somewhat stabilized, but keep in mind, I'm proposing bringing in more revenue from Mesa Blunt Township and expending that same revenue out to hire a commercial appraiser, assuming that one is willing to work with me on a contractual basis. Do you have any questions on that?
No, I think that'd be a good move, especially with all this, business going on. I think you need an expert, another expert to be able to send out.
I need a backup plan. There's no backup plan for me right now. I'm doing all of that and I don't have the time I should. So yes, that's what I'm proposing. Otherwise, I think my budget is fairly stable. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to address that. I'll clarify once again that if Mesa Blunt Township does not come to fruition, let's say, for example, they should find somebody all of a sudden out of the blue to do the job, then I would obviously not expend that money. That's my goal right now. I'll come back to you and talk to you about that later if that happens. But right now, it's assuming both things come together. Judy has questions.
I do, because on the sheet that I have, it says board of review for only $250.
You know what, per diem for board review comes out of, it's really weird, it's out of per diem and mileage line item, which is also where the per diem for the Farmland Review Committee comes
Okay,
out.
the travel and meeting.
So board of review, the 250 is actually their mileage, that's all it is, so it's a little misleading in terms of the label.
Okay.
You didn't want a tracker race with them this time around?
I did that last year, Bob, and you all agreed to it, so no, we're good with that, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Yes.
Any questions?
Hey, Farmland Board of Review doesn't get an increase.
Bob, I'd like to propose
Too late now, you're ready.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I just find it. Lenny, I want to bring you back in, when we're all here, the six of us is here, and talk about, some of the new, EAV coming online and the new revenue.
I would love to do that.
I'm just gonna have all six of us so we can.
I would love to do that. You wanna just keep me posted about when that would work?
I think when we get this, I'll just check with you as we go.
Yeah, I will tell you that I'm off on Friday for the next 10 days. I'm gonna be out hiking in Glacier National Park, so they. I was gonna go out there, but.
So we should probably do it sooner than later.
Yeah. We're gonna try to get you,
Cause you think I might fall off a cliff, Tom? Is that
No,
what you're saying? 'Cause I'm telling you.
because Friday you won't be here.
Right.
we'll try it Wednesday, see what we can do tomorrow, right? We'll see what we can do. It's just like we don't have these two here.
I agree. I would.
And we're not meeting Thursday, right?
Yeah, I don't need Thursday.
Good. I'm in Platteville anyway.
So if we're running late, I might order sandwiches and we'll do it tomorrow afternoon.
That works.
Go
Just
back
let
to
me know.
school or what?
The last one to go to school.
Why don't you figure out maybe how we get done,
Will do.
do that.
All right.
You don't have to have an agenda.
4 years till financial freedom.
But, your, change finder and your, the revenue coming in, and we can discuss that.
I also noticed on the agenda of solar energy, were you intending to talk a little bit about?
Yeah, I wanna talk to.
You wanna do that with everybody here too then?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Sounds good. That's all I have and that's all you guys have. Questions for me?
Did you, send that spreadsheet to Rick?
I have not yet, but just before I came up here, I did get confirmation from industry that they agree with the Excel spreadsheet, or don't agree with it necessarily, but they think it's the best way to quantify the issue, and so I am free to send it out. I wanted that confirmation from them before doing it.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
So,
I think I'm good.
He
So-
emailed me over the weekend and laid it out like it.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Were we gonna talk about, health and zoning?
I think we just put that on all 3 days, so we'll work with that one.
Okay,
I just would do all 6 of us if we can.
that's fine.
And everybody's on board for tomorrow, not gonna have any absence.
If we do, we'll work in some of this other stuff. I think we're all here, yes, now, so. And then, can a motion to adjourn?
So, moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Now do we shut everything down? So, are over here now?
We really did pretty good this morning, we had one that show up. And then so everybody, well, I'll leave early, well, I'll leave too. I don't know. I'm not trying to start anything. I'm not trying to start anything.
Go down here from there.
Oh.